Chapter 838. After a long while Wu Miaowan finally calmed down. She was still afraid when she recalled Qin Guang's punch. If she hadn't reacted quickly enough and used the Thousand Flower Valley's secret technique, wandering flower steps, to avoid the punch at the critical moment, she would have been seriously injured, if not dead. The feeling of being enveloped by death just now was not something to joke about. "You bastard, you really want to destroy a flower, don't you?" Wu Miaowan angrily knocked on Qin Guang's shoulder. Qin Guang was furious. "Didn't you tell me to give it my all? I thought you're a bone force expert and I've only just learned it, so I shouldn't be able to hurt you, right? I haven't even said anything to you, but you dodged without saying a word. Look at my wall, there's still a television on the other side. What a great loss." Wu Miaowan was furious. "You still have the nerve to say that? I told you to give it your all and you really did? Why haven't you been so obedient in other things? Besides, who knows why you're so strong when you've just learned inner force? This doesn't make sense." Xin Qin explained to Qin Guang from the side. "Perhaps you can't blame Qin Guang for this. I saw that the inner force he used was roughly equivalent to the entry level of muscle force. The cause of this should be his physical body. It's his first time using a punch, so it's normal that he can't control his strength. This power is only muscle force." Qin Guang didn't believe it. He looked at Wu Miaowan again. Perhaps she was more authoritative since she was facing the power directly. Unexpectedly, Wu Miaowan thought about it and nodded. "My dear, you're right. It's indeed muscle force level. Of course, you just learned the entry level yesterday and today you've officially learned the entry level of muscle force. You're probably a once-in-a-thousand-years genius. Your family's muscle force can punch through a wall with one punch? I don't believe it. I'm sure I'm already naughty. You two are afraid that I'll become complacent, right?" Qin Guang didn't believe it. Xin Qin and Wu Miaowan stared at him for a long time as if they were looking at a lunatic. They did not want to speak for a long time. Qin Guang felt uncomfortable being stared at by these two people's strange gazes. He said embarrassedly, "Fine, so be it. You two have big breasts, so you guys have the final say." Xin Qin. "Nonsense, even the martial sage body can't surpass the level of Tendon Jing. It's impossible. But you know what? This is the scariest part about you." "What do you mean? How am I scary?" Wu Miaowan patted his shoulder and said in a somewhat dispirited manner, "Think about it. You're only at muscle force now, but a single punch from you is enough to take my life. What would it be like when you've truly advanced to the same bone force as me and my dearest? Right now you're just like a naughty primary school kid, but you have the strength to tear tigers and leopards apart. When you grow up, it'll be unimaginable." Xin Qin nodded as well. She felt a little speechless as she said, "I never believed that a person's physical body could surpass the limits of the internal force once it surpassed its limits. Today I finally understand that you, this guy, are really, really blessed by the heavens. It's not fair." Qin Guang smiled confidently. "Don't envy me. This is the sacred elemental body that I painstakingly obtained in my previous life. I can't even explain the hardships of it to these two beautiful ladies. I can't bear to look back on the past. However, things didn't go my way. With my sacred elemental body, I actually didn't start off with skin force. It's a fly in the ointment. You're so cocky. Do you know what I admire the most about you?" Xin Qin stared at him with glowing eyes. Qin Guang asked, "What?" Wu Miaowan answered for Xin Qin. "We admire your shamelessness and your insatiable greed. So what you admire is my weakness." Xin Qin. "No, this is your strength." Qin Guang had thought that something would happen between the two of them that night. However, after punching through the wall, the two of them didn't stay any longer and ran to the next room in unison. Qin Guang could only sigh at the air as he watched the two of them leave in a hurry. His heart was filled with melancholy. "Forget it, I told you to focus on your studies. I have my own beauty in my books. I'll go study and find my beauty. You two will beg me for it. Wu Miaowan has been corrupted. She must have been corrupted. The two of them must have deliberately come to torture me tonight." In another room, Xin Qin and Wu Miaowan were whispering to each other. Wu Miaowan said, "Sweetheart, did you catch the feeling when he made his move just now? What's so special about the painting scroll?" Xin Qin glared at her. "Don't try to seduce me. I can't breathe. I sucked in a huge breath just now. God knows why this guy's punch was so scattered." Wu Miaowan exclaimed, "Did you absorb the qi from his punch directly into your stomach?" Xianxia hummed through her nose. After she finished speaking, a strange flush suddenly appeared on her originally exceptionally fair face. It was obvious that she was feeling a little uncomfortable because of the swelling. Wu Miaowan sighed. Must have been hard on you. God knows why this guy is so strong after just grasping inner force. I wanted to exchange a few moves with him and secretly learn some tricks from the painting scroll. In the end, this guy almost killed me with one punch. I thought all my efforts tonight were in vain. But can things like qi really be sucked into one's stomach by inhaling? A long muffled sound came from behind Xianxia's buttocks. Xianxia's entire body deflated like a balloon. She sighed. Wu Miaowan asked, "Did you fart?" Xianxia blushed. Hum. That's it? That's it. Wu Miaowan sighed. What a failure on the verge of success. Xianxia sighed. Forget it. I'll just tell him next time. Wu Miaowan shook her head. That won't do. Both of us secretly learned the painting scroll. Even if the cultivation method is leaked, it's our own doing. He's not at fault. But if he leaked it to us on purpose, he won't be able to explain himself to Wenwen. We can't make things difficult for him. With his personality, he'll probably be tortured to death. Oh, did you feel anything when you farted just now? Can qi really be sucked into one's stomach? Is the painting scroll's inner force so solid? Xianxia shook her head. Actually, I just felt a little itchy there. I don't know if it's really useless. Maybe it's just a psychological effect. There? Where my ass is. Really, aren't you ashamed? Isn't that what you asked? You're blaming me. After a brief moment of melancholy, Qin Guang quickly composed himself. He fished out the textbooks and courseware for the next exam from his bag and started studying them. As for the Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment exam tomorrow, Lord Guang, who already had more than 800,000 faith points in his pocket, was very calm. Speaking of which, with the increase in the size of the deer cry fruit, the production of faith in the cup realm that was previously full was still increasing day by day. Now, unknowingly, it had already increased from the initial 44444 to the current 52,000. In addition to the newly planted Annihilation 20 god statues, the daily production of faith had already exceeded the 400,000 mark. It had been a little more than 2 days since they left the punishment realm. Their accumulated faith points were already close to 900,000. Before tomorrow's exam, they would have more than 1 million. With more than 1 million faith points, they could easily get a deluxe customized world in a cup. Just the thought of it was beautiful. Thinking back to the poor days where he had to count his faith points every day with this current production, he was as blissful as a farmer who had escaped poverty and was heading for a well-off life. Tonight he did not stay up all night. He went to bed after watching it for a while. He had been quite tired recently. He curled up in his bed and scrolled through Weibo to see what was going on online. It was no different from earlier. Bad news was still flying everywhere, and his die-hard fans were like a red dot in a sea of flowers. Even the comment section under his Weibo was in a mess. Fans and trolls were engaged in a fierce battle. I've said it before. Almighty Superman is a deceiver. He's not a good person. Only idiots like you would believe his hype. Brains are a good thing. I hope all of you have it. That's right. There's no one in this world who can do what he did. Do the trolls above have any shame? Have you seen the live broadcast? Can a live broadcast be faked? In the eyes of you idiotic fans, even a fart from this damn liar smells good. So what if it's a live broadcast? Who knew if he had recorded the broadcast and then disguised it as a live broadcast? Other celebrities lip sync at their concerts. Then the World Darts Championship is also recorded? Do you have the ability to bribe so many people? Playing the piano is also recorded? The Guinness Conference is also recorded? The Sword Tower Throne Challenge is also recorded? The World Arm Wrestling Competition is also recorded? The air crash is also recorded? You haters should be reasonable. Is your whole family recorded? Retard fans. That's right. If people like Qin Guang continue to deceive the world like this, it's an insult to everyone. Upstairs, I don't agree with you. I've seen his many live broadcasts. I think that what he did is real. But it doesn't matter. I just don't like him. He likes to create hype. He wants to boast that he's invincible. Can't he be more low-key? I'm a minor language learner. I can tell all of you clearly that it's impossible for anyone to learn 8 minor languages in a semester. Even Superman can't do it. Even those talented mutant geniuses can't do it. Every language family has a different grammatical structure and usage of words. The 8 subjects he applied for are not the same as the differences between Sichuan and Hunan dialects in our Chinese language. It's impossible for his brain to remember them. Learning a foreign language isn't just about memorizing ABCD. I'll be the first to not believe it. That's right. So what if what he said was real? He's famous now. He's changed. He's at his wit's end. He's starting to use these little tricks to make a name for himself. Chapter 839. The haters upstairs are jealous of brother all-rounder. Brainless haters' families explode, their fathers' graves dance and their mothers' hearse drift. This was definitely another black fan who brought up the tempo. I have no other opinions, I'm just unhappy that our goddess Xianxia is chasing after him, yet he still dares to dodge. I can't take it. That's right. Look at how much Xianxia has sacrificed for him, yet he didn't confess to her in front of everyone. He even said he likes his whatever tutor. Shameless scumbag. That's right. I support Moonlight CP. Is there no one supporting Jiang Yage and Qin Guang? I think the two of them are quite compatible. Jiang Yage and Qin Guang? Is it Jiangxin CP? Jiangxin your sister, your whole family is the king of zombies. Qin Guang tossed his phone aside thinking, sigh, I'm not brave enough. Since I knew I would definitely be flamed, I shouldn't have gotten angry with these ignorant haters. If I got angry because of their shit, I would be at a disadvantage and fall into their trap. Truly experienced celebrities must have a heart that wouldn't change even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of them. They must understand that being liked by others is popularity, and being hated is also popularity. As a celebrity, they can't be afraid of being flamed or scolded. Being forgotten is the saddest thing. Just look at me right now, getting on the trending topic list just because of a small matter. Many people are envious of me. But I understand all of this, but I'm not happy. I'm not the kind of weakling who would offer the right side of my face for money after being slapped on the left. I know fame brings money, but I have to stand and earn this money. I can only gain fame by being flamed and scolded by others. I'm sorry, I don't want to rely on this fame to earn money. I'm not that despicable. You can grab hold of me and spit as much as you want. There's not much time left for you. Actually, everyone knew that he didn't go overboard this time. He was just signing up for 8 elective courses, even if it was just 8 minor languages. It wasn't as exaggerated as one might imagine. It wasn't to the extent of being flamed. So what if I can't pass the final exam? He didn't steal or rob, nor did he eat anyone's rice. Even if he really wanted to do something behind the scenes and force himself not to fail, so what? How could there be a lack of people in the country who did such things behind the scenes? There was really no need to be surprised. There was another reason why things had turned out this way. On the one hand, it was because the school was not in the right place from the beginning. Under the incitement of the boys from the School of Foreign Languages, the overall trend on the school forum was still to slander him. On the other hand, although the major media outlets tried their best to remain neutral in their reports to avoid igniting a fire, they couldn't control the overall atmosphere in the comment section. Recently, Qin Guang's image had been too positive. Many people who had opinions about him wanted to criticize him but couldn't find any fault. As the saying goes, it's better to disperse than to block, and it's better to guide than to disperse. These diehards' dissatisfaction with Qin Guang was deep-rooted. Not being able to find fault with Qin Guang would not change their minds. It would only continue to accumulate resentment in their hearts. Now, even a little bit of bad news was enough to become a vent for these people to crazily pour out their anger. People with dark minds always had a natural aversion to perfect things or people. For these keyboard warriors and trolls who lived on the other side of the internet, destroying perfect people and things could give them unimaginable pleasure. Trolls were the most unpredictable group in the world. Perhaps in real life, these people were well-dressed and behaved politely. But once they picked up their phones or sat in front of their computers, it was as if they were wearing the mask of a disguised geek. In an instant they would become another person with a hideous and ugly face. The haters who spouted dirty words were all beginners. The truly skilled haters could find a way to express themselves in any situation. Their angles were extremely tricky, like a venomous snake jumping out of its hole, revealing its ferocious fangs. They used their vicious words and language to deal a fatal blow to the people in the comment section and the person in question. Just like some people doing charity, it was a good thing in the eyes of ordinary people. But in the eyes of trolls, they believed that there must be something fishy about it. People who do charity must be making money in the name of charity. There were indeed people who did such despicable things, but not everyone in the world was like that. Trolls did not understand this simple truth, or perhaps they were pretending not to understand. They were always able to project the darkness in their hearts onto others. As dark as they were, they felt that everyone else was as dark as they were. If others produced detailed statements to prove that the accounts were clean, the trolls would say that on the surface, you did not use charity to make money, but you did make a name for yourself and you used your reputation to make money. What you said made so much sense that I had nothing to say in response. These words could often make people feel disgusted, but his logic was self-contained. Qin Guang's matter was just a small matter to begin with. But in the end, it caused the azure starry sky's momentum to go astray. When it was exposed to the media, those haters who had been suppressed for a long time finally found a target and pounced forth like mad dogs with their teeth bared. The combination of these two factors immediately caused this matter to reach this point on the internet at an extremely fast speed. The popularity of this topic on Weibo was even catching up to the scandal of a certain celebrity cheating. The number of topics was almost on par with each other. Just how free are these B***stars? Qin Guang rolled his eyes and replied to the few people who were concerned about this matter, telling them not to worry. Then he covered his head with a blanket. Who cares about the flood outside? I only care about having a good night's sleep. Early the next morning, Qin Guang did not pay attention to the outside world. After getting up, he ran to the study room and focused on reading his sage books. However, the domestic online world had already been stirred up by a piece of breaking news. That's right, after a series of intense negotiations, Tianguang Brokerage officially entered the work of organizing the World Language Conference. The rich and imposing Tianguang Brokerage invested 50 million, raising the original budget of less than 10 million to the total budget of the academic forum to 60 million. The originally stillborn competition segment had taken a turn for the better. The list of invited participants had skyrocketed from the original 1,000 or so people to 3,000. The entire flight tickets, accommodation and 3 meals a day were all covered. They even opened up the registration criteria to the entire world. Even if you were not on the invitation list, you could still participate through the online qualifiers. As long as you could prove that you had mastered 5 distinct languages, you could enjoy 3 free public travel packages. It was said that the major Chinese consulates around the world would even give special treatment to those who wanted to participate in the competition. It was said to be the most difficult Chinese visa to obtain in the world. As long as you had all the necessary information, you could even get it signed on the same day. Other than that, the cash prize of 100,000 renminbi, which was originally better than nothing, was directly raised to nearly $2 million. Of course, under Qin Guang's instructions, Bai Hua took the initiative to help pull the strings, and Central TV's deputy station head Lu intervened. Tianguang Brokerage also spent a lot of money to buy out the conference's live broadcast rights, online broadcast rights, advertising rights, and other rights that could generate huge profits. They only left the original organizer, the Chinese Language Association, with a 10% share of the profits. Qin Guang and his Tianguang Brokerage were very rich, but they also had a big business to support. They had to support hundreds of employees, so they couldn't go against their own money. They still had to fight for the profits that needed to be fought for appropriately. The Chinese Language Association originally had some complaints about Tianguang Brokerage's 90% share of the profits. However, Bai Hua made a phone call to Secretary Chu. This was a small matter and Secretary Chu could settle it with just a call. Unbeknownst to anyone, this matter had made its way from the center of Huaxia's power to the ears of the president of the Huaxia Language Association. If Bai Hua had not stopped him in time, this old man would have taken away the 10% share that the Language Association was supposed to get. After the matter was settled, the Chinese Language Association and Tianguang Brokerage's representative, Yu Hong, appeared at an impromptu press conference at around 11 a.m. Many reporters from the major media outlets in Beijing rushed over and witnessed with their own eyes what was probably the fastest business collaboration in history that was worth $500 million RMB. The press conference lasted less than 15 minutes before it was announced that it was adjourned. Many reporters in the venue had already started preparing their scripts. Before the press conference was over, All kinds of announcements appeared on the major media outlets like snowflakes. All-rounder Qin Guang announces that he will participate in the World Language Conference competition to be held in Beijing next week. Unable to bear the humiliation, all-rounder Qin Guang has decided to prove himself. He will compete with more than 2,000 language geniuses from all over the world at the World Language Conference. Science Guide. What is the World Language Conference? What is a competition? Bamboo Live announces that the World Language Conference competition will be broadcasted live online. What kind of exciting show will the gold medal duo of Qin Guang and Bamboo Live bring us? A tiger's but cannot be touched. It's fine if he doesn't make a sound, but amazes the world with a single brilliant feat. Greetings from the face-slapping King Qin Guang. In the face of doubt, the most powerful counterattack is to step onto the highest stage to prove yourself. How petty is Qin Guang? Can't he just touch a tiger's butt? Countless painful lessons have yet to make Qin Guang's haters wake up. Who will have the last laugh this time? Please wait and see. You say he doesn't know 8 foreign languages? He might as well step onto the world stage. The market value of Bamboo Live is expected to rise. Can the best IP Qin Guang create glory again? The birth of the strongest lying down live streaming platform. Whoever has Qin Guang will have the world. Soy Milk Live Su. There's no reason why Qin Guang can do everything. There's no reason why Bamboo can win every time. The overly conceited Qin Guang dabbles too much and underestimates the heroes of the world. He will meet his Waterloo. Professor Liu, a senior expert from Yenjing University of Foreign Languages. Qin Guang doesn't know that there are real geniuses in the world who have mastered more than 40 languages. I'm waiting to see him make a fool of himself. This overwhelming announcement, coupled with the live broadcast or edited video of the conference on news and information websites, completely pushed the storm of the 8 foreign language elective courses that had been brewing for 2 days to the peak. China's online world exploded in an instant. It was just a small incident of signing up for an elective course, yet it could cause such a ruckus. He was probably the first person in history who would never be able to do such a thing. Chapter 840. Even those people who had been following the trend of defaming Qin Guang had not expected this guy to be so crazy. Seeing that he had not made any direct response for the past 2 days, they had thought that he would just obediently admit defeat this time. Almost everyone thought that he would probably quietly cancel all those 8 laughable elective courses. Even Qin Guang's fans felt that Brother All-Rounder's luck was not too good this time. He had wanted to quietly get some credits, but he had been found out. But it didn't matter. How big of a deal was signing up for an elective course? Even if Brother All-Rounder had quietly admitted defeat this time, they would still love him all the same. What? No one really believed that he would really do it. In the end, this guy actually accepted the World Language Conference without saying a word. Not only did he not admit defeat, he even made such a big move. The competition segment of the World Language Conference? Super high prize money. Global selection of contestants. Food, accommodation, chartered plane tickets, and visa were all given the most prestigious treatment for the contestants. It was as if he had clearly put down his big face and stretched it out in front of all the language geniuses in the world. Come on, come and slap my face. I'll pay you guys to come and teach me a lesson. He was clearly telling everyone. Do you guys think that I don't know 8 foreign languages? Then I'll buy a big stage for myself. I'll just have to tell you guys whether or not I know how to, whether or not I have the ability. Qin Guang's fans expressed that Brother All-Rounder's fans would gain a lot of face. So King domineering. At this time, those people who were defaming Qin Guang could not remain calm. We're just scolding you online. It's not like you have a lot of meat on you. Do you have to be so extravagant? 50 million. Do you have so much money to burn? Are you really that stingy? They did not know why, but these haters and trolls felt an inexplicable panic in their hearts. Could it be that this guy was really planning to do what he did in the past? When faced with doubts, he would create a big stage and then ruthlessly slap the faces of those who were defaming him. Could it be that this guy had real skills? 8 foreign languages. Stop messing around. I don't believe it. A person's energy is limited. You're only 20 years old. Where would you have the time and energy to learn so many foreign languages? You're not a 200-year-old monster. The haters and keyboard warriors hiding behind the internet cables rubbed their burning cheeks and gritted their teeth in anger. In fact, it wasn't just these trolls who didn't believe it. Even the experienced experts and scholars in the field of language didn't believe it either. The longer they worked in the field, the more they understood how difficult it was to master a language. Apart from that, he had raised the reward to a level that was tempting enough to attract the true geniuses who had awakened in the Broca area. In the past World Language Conference competitions, people who had mastered about 10 foreign languages could easily win the championship. However, everyone knew that learning 10 foreign languages might be extremely difficult for ordinary people, but it wasn't impossible for professionals. For true geniuses who had awakened in the Broca region, it was even easier. For those monsters who were naturally sensitive to languages, mastering 10 languages was a basic requirement if they put in a little more effort. If they had been studying languages for a longer period of time, it was not impossible for them to have mastered more than 20 languages. However, it was relatively rare for more than 30 of them to have the ability to communicate, but it wasn't as if there were none. Peerless geniuses who could speak and communicate with people in more than 50 languages also existed. In history, there had even been super geniuses who could speak 70 languages and read and write in another 56. Although Qin Guang had already proven his strength in many fields, he was really too arrogant this time. At least in the field of language, God was never fair. Even the most experienced linguists weren't willing to compete with those awakened geniuses from the Broca region. It was just like how a dwarf would never be able to outrun a normal person. Everyone's leg length was different. 1 step for a dwarf was equivalent to 3 steps for a dwarf. What were you going to do to compete? Was there something wrong with you? Did you have a bone to pick with your money? Did you really think that you were invincible no matter what you did? That was the biggest joke in the world. Just wait to be embarrassed. Qin Guang didn't know that his very casual decision would be interpreted so much after it was officially announced to the public. He was just calmly reading his book with Zhou Xian and the others in the study room. Brother Guang, aren't you going to take the Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment next? Why are you reading environmental economics? Seeing that the exam time was getting closer and closer, Lin Jingwei, who had been upset all morning, couldn't help but point at the book in Qin Guang's hand. Qin Guang also looked at his watch, put down the book and smiled mysteriously. Young man, you don't understand. You have to respect the god of exams. In the future, if you want to take the postgraduate and doctoral exams, you have to burn incense in front of my photo every day. You can't be so pretentious, can you? Do you think the Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment is easy to take? It's all rote memorization and it's a closed book. It would be strange if you didn't read books. I've checked, this compulsory course won't be available next semester, and you won't even have the chance to retake it. If you fail this time, you'll have to come back to school for the exam halfway through your work. Don't blame me for not reminding you then. Lin Jingwei said angrily. Bai Fan, who was messing around on the side, was fiddling with his phone. Suddenly, his eyes lit up when he saw the news report of Tianguang Agency and the Chinese Language Association. Isn't this Brother Guang's company? Are they causing trouble? Faster. What the F***ck is this? Am I blind? Bai Fan pointed at the long title of the news on his phone, his face full of confusion. The others also moved their heads over to take a look. They were shocked when they saw what was going on. Qin Guang, who had already guessed the content of the news, didn't even raise his head. He was still engrossed in his environmental economics book, muttering like he was chanting scriptures. The trading of emission permits refers to within a certain area. On the other side, Lin Jingwei and the others scanned through the shocking news at lightning speed, but saw that Qin Guang was still engrossed in his book. They couldn't hold it in anymore. Brother Guang, it says here that you spent 50 million on that world language competition. Is that true? Are you crazy? Xiong yelled at Qin Guang's ear with his loud, broken voice. Qin Guang's head was shaken to the point of dizziness. He dug his ear with his fingers and patted Xiong on the head. You're making a fuss out of nothing. Are you trying to make me deaf? It's not a big deal. Behave yourselves. But it's 50 million. It's written here that the total prize pool is 10 million. Bai Fan said again. Qin Guang finally put down his book and looked up in deep thought. The prize pool is only 10 million? That's less than $2 million. That's not good. No, I'll call them later and ask them to make the prize pool bigger. Sun Xiaoxuan, Gaoya and Lin Jingwei all looked at him as if he was crazy. They didn't even want to say a word. Qin Guang saw their incredulous expressions and didn't bother to explain to them. He just smiled coldly. Have you all forgotten the painful lessons of the past? You forced me to do this. It seemed that the old man could only use his ultimate trick to slap himself in the face. Let me tell you, when I act tough, I don't care about anyone. Just as he was thinking, Qin Guang's phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was a message from Azure Sky's mobile app. The Modern Chemistry 4 exam was out the day before yesterday. Fine, I was just about to slap you in the face. Isn't this the opportunity? I'll just slap you a little to calm myself down. He picked up his phone, opened the app and winked at them. Alright, forget about the World Language Conference. It's really not a big deal. Don't be fooled by the uproar on the internet. It's just a trivial matter to me. Come on, the results of the Modern Chemistry exam are out. How about it? I'm not bragging, am I? Although this course was taken by Nicosia, and he didn't really want to brag about it, these people were trampling on him. If he didn't teach them a lesson, they wouldn't know who he was. Didn't you say that I couldn't pass this course? Didn't I pass now? They looked at the bright red 100 marks on the app. Their mouths were wide open and they were also shocked. This guy really wasn't bragging? Full marks. So sci-fi? Even the straight A student, Sun Xiaoxuan, didn't get full marks. Even the straight A student, Shandong Laotian, didn't get full marks, but you got full marks. Qin Guang felt much better when he saw that they were about to lose their minds from shock. He put away his phone and stood up. Alright. Let's eat lunch. The exam is after lunch. Don't be obsessed with me. I'm a legend. Qin Guang ran like the wind, leaving behind a cool, domineering and handsome silhouette. Sun Xiaoxuan and the others took a while to recover and quickly got up to chase after him. As they got closer, they heard Qin Guang talking to someone on the phone. Told you I saw the news. Well done. Quite efficient. I didn't expect you guys to reach an agreement so quickly. Yeah, of course we have to fight for what's ours. Alright, there's one more thing. I don't have any other requests, but the prize pool is a little too stingy. We have to increase it. Increase it to 100 million renminbi. Don't be too much. You didn't hear wrong. I'm not joking. 100 million. The company's liquidity should be just enough, right? Right, that's settled. Let's talk later. I'm a little busy right now. On this side, Qin Guang hung up the phone after he finished speaking. The eyes of the people behind him twitched. Crazy. Completely crazy. Is this what you meant by making it bigger? Little. Your family's a little as 10 times. The 50 million sponsorship from before was not enough. Now this guy actually increased the prize pool from 10 million to 100 million in an instant. It's really rounded up to 100 million. This meant that the 50 million sponsorship in the news had instantly turned into 140 million. Crazy. This guy was definitely a lunatic. No, I have to call 120 and get a doctor. I have to send him to a mental hospital immediately for a checkup. Otherwise, he would lose all of his assets in a matter of minutes. The few of them had received quite a bit of stimulation in this short period of time. Even Lin Jingwei, who was used to seeing the world, felt that his brain couldn't wrap itself around it. This is a small game. It's not the UEFA Champions League or the World Cup. How can you spend money like this? Aren't you giving it for free? You're not just going against the money. You're going against your own life. Chapter 841. Sensing the 5 gazes behind him, Qin Guang turned around and asked, What? Are you trying to stop me? That's impossible. I'm not joking. What the F***? Hurry up and change your mind. Lin Jingwei pounced on him. Bai Nyangzi rushed up and hugged his thigh. My brother. You can't waste money like this. Why don't you invest in my novel and make it into a movie or TV series? You can hype it up. Even if it's a flop, you can at least earn some money back. At least you can get some bubbles. Look at the 300 million box office sales of other people's novels. Xiong Jinka, on the other hand, gave him a bear hug and wanted to carry him directly into the mental hospital. Even Sun Xiaoxuan, who had almost blind faith in him, did not stand on his side this time. He almost cried and said, Qin Guang, don't do this. Although we all know that you don't lack money now, it's not easy for you to earn a family business. You should hire a professional manager to help you take care of these things. Don't mess around like this. Qin Guang covered his ears. He really couldn't say anything to these people. He knew that in the eyes of ordinary people his current behavior might seem a bit like a lunatic. Even Yu Hong questioned his decision on the phone just now. But he did not intend to change his mind. Even if the total prize pool increased from 10 million to 100 million, the prize money prepared for the champion accounted for half of the total prize pool, which was 50 million. This champion must be him. He could not let it go to anyone else. Therefore, in the eyes of others he was giving away 100 million crazily, but in fact he was only giving away 50 million. The new sponsorship plan, compared to the previous sponsorship plan, only increased the actual expenditure by about 45 million, which was not unacceptable. In addition, this was probably the highest prize pool for a niche academic forum competition in human history. It was n times higher than the prize money of the Nobel Prize. This could make the World Language Conference, which was originally not valued and very marginalized, instantly gain unimaginable popularity and attention. In China, perhaps because of his participation in the competition, this niche academic forum was naturally popular. But overseas, looking at the international scene, his name was not so useful. In order to make the World's Language Society receive international attention, what could be simpler and more effective than creating such an exaggerated and almost abnormal prize pool? It was impossible for foreigners to remain calm in a language competition that had the same prize money as the Champions League, right? Any problem that could be solved with money was not a problem. How much effort would be saved in advertising and promotion? I'll just throw in money to save time, effort, and worry. His seemingly crazy behavior was actually killing two birds with one stone. Since the attention of the World's Language Club had increased, wouldn't it be more valuable when they were talking about sponsors? If he wanted to own the statue in one fell swoop, shouldn't he attract all the people who were talented in languages? Geniuses were always proud. 10 million yuan, which was less than $2 million, might not be enough to move these geniuses. However, there was a saying that humans were reserved because they were not tempted enough. With a total prize pool of almost $20 million, even the most arrogant genius in the world had to lower his noble head and fly here from all over the world with absolute confidence in his own abilities, becoming a stepping stone for him to ascend to the throne. The stronger his opponent was, the more indisputable recognition and worship he would receive when he reached the top. The brighter the pile of bones in front of the throne, the more dazzling his crown as the king of languages would be. I didn't want to wait until I won this match, only to have someone suddenly jump out and express dissatisfaction with me, saying that I won this time because I was planting sweet potatoes at home and didn't have time to deal with you. If I show up, you'll have to kneel on the ground and sing conquer at any moment. The best thing about this kind of person was that he could describe things that didn't happen as if they were true, and his theory was as flawless as Schrödinger's cat. It made me feel disgusted and helpless, but I couldn't really compete with him alone. But he really didn't come, so I can't say that I'm definitely better than him. So it was really worth it to fork out an extra 45 million in cash. The experience of many successful projects proved that for the super content provider, the omnipotent Superman Chen Guang, it was too easy to make money. Money was just a worldly possession. Only faith points were eternal. For the first statue of a god in the middle realm of the Silver Line Cup, I'll give away the prize pool of 50 million. I can earn it back anyway. Of course, the premise of his whole set of theories was based on the situation where he was sure that he could win. If he lost, then he would have to give away 100 million, which was quite an exaggeration. Sun Xiaoxuan, Lin Jingwei, and the others couldn't sit still because of this. So geniuses were often not understood by others, and there was only a thin line between them and lunatics. Others couldn't understand where Qin Guang's confidence came from, and they felt that he was already crazy. Only he himself understood that he couldn't lose. Because I'm a genius. Okay, I'm begging you. Facts speak louder than words, okay? You won't believe anything I say now, but I know my own situation very well. I have a whole set of plans and I won't lose anything. Why don't you think about it? Haven't I never lost anything before? When I say that I can do something, have I never gone back on my words? If you guys continue like this, I won't come to school anymore, okay? I'm scared of you guys. Qin Guang couldn't be reasoned with, so he decided to play rogue with Sun Xiaoxuan and the others. He also knew that they were doing this for his own good. But they were at different levels and their thoughts were completely different. Just like how summer insects can't talk about ice, even if they argued with each other for another year, they wouldn't be able to convince each other. The only thing he could do now was to play around with them, and then wait until next week he would beat the world's heroes in the language competition. At that time, action would be the most advantageous counterattack. This group of idiots would know just how ignorant they were. Don't say any more. I have to take the exam after lunch. This is more important than 100 million in my heart. Everyone stared at him. Damn. If the teacher who teaches you the Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment knew that his course was so important to you, would he be so moved that he would cry? After a while, Qin Guang finally pushed the doubts of this group of frogs at the bottom of the well to the floor. After lunch he was too lazy to talk anymore. He carried his bag and trotted all the way to a teaching building, ignoring these people's grief-stricken faces. Sitting in the examination room, there were about 10 minutes before the papers were distributed. He was too lazy to pay attention to the curious eyes of the other boys in the same exam. His left hand held the textbook, his right hand held the cup, and he calculated the faith value in his heart. More than 1.2 million, very good. Deluxe edition, let's go. When he entered the world in the cup, Lu Ming advised him not to use faith value like this, and let Nicosia write for him. I say, you're really something. Why didn't you use such a powerful gunner? Why did you have to do it yourself? Aren't you crazy? Lu Ming teased. Qin Guang's face glowed with a majestic light. He waved his hand and said righteously, when I was young I stole needles. When I grew up I stole cows. Today I let someone else do it for me just for a makeup exam. How can I face my upright life in the future? When I face a life and death crisis in the test of the world in the cup, will there be someone who can do it for me? Lu Ming, you and Liuli don't know what other secrets this heavenly holy grail has. I have to rely on myself. God knows how many difficulties and dangers await me in front of me to become the true master of the holy grail. Will there be someone who can do these things for me? Confucius said, don't do good because it's small, don't do evil because it's small. Stop, stop, stop. Lu Ming waved a leaf and covered this guy's mouth. Nicosia's soul, who had been floating in the void, also heard the righteous words of Qin Guang transmitted by Lu Ming. She fiercely muttered to herself, F***CK. Do you think I want to help you? Idiot master of the Holy Grail. After breaking free from Lu Ming's leaf, Qin Guang's heart was calm. Today I am still upright. Come on. Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment. World in the Cup. This name sounds a little strange. Forget it, don't mind the details. Ever since he obtained the heavenly Holy Grail, this was probably the first time that Qin Guang used the function of the Holy Grail for learning. He himself did not know what it would be like to use the deluxe version of the World in the Cup to study, but he was rather looking forward to it. With a tilt of his head, his spiritual body floated up from the cloud city and was sucked into the dark space-time tunnel with a whoosh. Nicosia was still complaining. This guy's Chinibu syndrome is getting worse. Suddenly she also felt that her soul was beginning to feel a suction force from the void. Nicosia had a lot of experience with this. After all, many times before when Qin Guang underwent customized special training in the World in the Cup, she was the one who was drawn to be a prop, such as transforming into all kinds of fancy fitness equipment. This was also the real reason why Goddess Liuli spared her life back then. She was gradually getting used to this. Although it was a little disgusting, she just took it as the price for the opportunity to have eternal life. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Since he wants to read and learn this time, I will probably become a book. This was what Nicosia thought in her heart before her soul was completely sucked out. Suddenly her fingers twitched. The long-awaited feeling of having a real body inexplicably came from her fingertips. This feeling was so familiar but also so strange. Just the feeling of her index finger rubbing against her thumb made her heart tremble, and her eyes almost became moist. That's not right, I actually have tears too. Nicosia slowly opened her eyes and raised her right hand slightly. Looking at her white palm and slender fingers, her breathing gradually quickened. This time I actually became a human. God. Oh no, it's Goddess Liuli. She subconsciously roared in her heart. Chapter 842. Originally he thought that he would exist as a soul without a body for a very, very long time. Originally he thought that he would no longer miss his body. Originally he had told himself countless times that he would live like this, in the state of a soul. He would not feel tired, his mind would be sharper, and he would never age. It was a very blissful thing. From the moment she had lived in the Holy Grail as a complete soul, Nixie had been using this firm belief to numb herself. But now she suddenly realized that she was wrong. All of a sudden she regained her physical body without any warning. She suddenly realized that she still missed the feeling of living like a human. Teacher, can you start the class? Qin Guang sat in front of the desk and looked at the pretty teacher in front of him with a smile. He was really satisfied. blonde hair, blue eyes, big breasts, and voluptuous. Her waist was really thin and her butt was quite perky. She didn't look very old, only close to 20 years old. The best part was the deep V collar of her business attire that was especially wide open. Coupled with her black-rimmed glasses and the way she held a teaching stick, she was perfect to the point of being impeccable. Why would she need a bicycle? Private tutoring by a tutor. The deluxe version of the world in a cup this time is so awesome. I can't believe they sent me a sexy European and American tutor. Full marks. Qin Guang hadn't really seen Nixie's face before. Perhaps this was the first time he had seen the true face of the last genius girl of the Daoist family. Nixie was pulled back to reality by Qin Guang's words. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Qin Guang, who was sitting upright like a good student in front of her. She then turned her head to look at the miniature classroom that was only about 10 square meters in size. Realization suddenly dawned on her. This guy's special training tool this time was a tutor. Coincidentally, this tutor was me, Nixie. She really didn't know whether to feel lucky or depressed. Qin Guang smacked his lips and thought to himself, I really didn't expect this custom special training to be so awesome. What was I thinking before I came in? First of all, in order to ensure efficiency, there was no escape from the cramming method of teaching. I admit that. Also, at that time I seemed to be tired of studying alone. After all, when I was learning acting I had to study until I was crazy. Once again I seemed to have thought that it would be best to give me a beautiful teacher. This teacher must be beautiful. She couldn't wear too much. Otherwise, what was the use of being beautiful? You can't wear too little either. Otherwise it will make me restless and affect my learning efficiency. Don't ask me why, they just have to be big. Alright, I was just thinking about it. In any case, the heavenly Holy Grail would never be so obedient and give me whatever I want. When Qin Guang saw Nicosia, he was so touched that his eyes brimmed with tears. The Holy Grail did not lie to him. Awesome. Powerful. So beautiful. It was a Caucasian woman. I'm starting to miss Annie from the Sea of Moments. I can't even find an angle to retort. Anyway, how is she going to teach me? Judging from her rich expression, she shouldn't be one of those NPC props I met when I was learning the piano. She should have her own thoughts and be in existence close to a real person, right? At the same time, a whole teaching plan suddenly appeared in Nicosia's mind. It was forced into her head by the heavenly Holy Grail. From now on, her every move and every word must strictly follow the requirements set by the heavenly Holy Grail. Although she now had a physical body and her soul lived in this physical body. She was a completely real person. The role she was playing now was ultimately just a prop. Compared to the props of the past, today's props were more humane and realistic. If they were brought to the neighboring island nation, they would be the top super silicone dolls that cost tens of thousands of dollars. But the Holy Grail would not really let this prop do as she pleased. The Holy Grail had rich experience in training Qin Guang and knew how to train Master Light to grow up. Perhaps Nicosia was also very capable, but it was obvious that the Holy Grail, who had no emotions and no thoughts, and whose top priority was to train Qin Guang, would not listen to her argument. Bastard! You've finally fallen into my hands. That was what Nicosia wanted to say in her heart, but what came out of her mouth was, Student Qin Guang, please focus and turn to the first page of the textbook. Very good. Just like that, be good. The first semester of Teacher Daoist's Teaching with Love is about to begin. Bastard. I don't want to give him some damn teaching with love. How embarrassing. Don't make me say something like that. Wait, what am I doing with my hands? Bastard. Why am I pulling at my collar with my hands? What are you doing, you bastard cup? Is it true that the cup is like its owner? Can't we teach a little more normally? On the other side, Qin Guang had no idea that the beautiful girl in front of him was Nicosia. The moment he heard the words teaching with love, he quickly perked up. He held his head high and puffed out his chest, staring straight ahead with bright, piercing eyes. All right, Teacher Daoist. His view of the heavenly Holy Grail immediately changed. This heartless cup wasn't completely unreasonable. Teaching with love was fine, it kept up with the times. Although he didn't know why this sexy blonde teacher was also surnamed Daoist, which was the same as Nicosia, who had blown him up and was now living in the heavenly Holy Grail, it didn't matter. Perhaps the heavenly Holy Grail's naming cancer had flared up and it was just being lazy. On the other side, Nicosia, who couldn't control her body at all, heaved a sigh of relief. Her uncontrollable hands had pulled open her collar very much, but it just so happened that the two most important parts were not exposed. From Qin Guang's angle he could only see two perfectly round hemispheres. Fortunately, although this is a little embarrassing, I still have my bottom line. Nicosia's heart was slightly relieved, but when she heard what she couldn't help but say next, she knew that it was too early for her to be happy. So good, so obedient. Teacher really likes you. Nicole, I can't take it anymore. I really want to die. I'm so disgusted. Why don't you let me turn into a book or even a stool under his butt? Qin Guang. With such a teacher, what else can I ask for? My life is worth it. Our teaching with love is divided into a total of 3 semesters. The first semester is the introductory chapter. In the introductory chapter, you will have a comprehensive understanding and learning of the environmental impact assessment industry through systematic study. After completing the introductory chapter, you will become a senior environmental assessment worker, and it won't be a problem for you to take the certified engineer examination. Nicosia said again. Qin Guang nodded. Nicosia's heart was slightly relieved, and her lines were finally a little more normal. If my dear student can complete the first semester's learning task with an S grade, I will take off my shirt. Nicosia, crazy. Qin Guang. As expected of the luxury version of high-end clubhouse treatment, it's actually so considerate and humane. Teaching with love, the old man was going all out. The second semester is the advanced chapter. Through the advanced chapter, you will become the world's best environmental assessment engineer. It sounds amazing, but I'm not going to do environmental assessment. It doesn't seem to be of any use, right? I just want to deal with the exam in front of me. So, dear teacher, what's the reward for the second semester's final exam? I will take off my skirt. May the great teacher Teepister live forever. The third semester is called the Invincible chapter. Sounds amazing. That's right, teacher Teepister's teaching with love is amazing. Through the Invincible chapter, you will be able to master this subject 20 years later. In the scope of environmental impact assessment, you will be 20 years ahead of this era. My teacher is amazing. So what's the reward? The reward is that you successfully graduate from the world in a cup. Wait, the shirt and skirt have been taken off. Shouldn't the next step be? Sorry, this is only the deluxe version, not the supreme version. That's going to cost more. My dear world in a cup, are you going to transform into a big treasure sword? Are you trying to trick me into paying more money? Qin Guang was speechless at the inexplicable bad taste of the heavenly holy grail. Time flew. He did not know how much time had passed, but the smugness in Qin Guang's heart had long been erased by the cruel reality. Who would have thought that the graduation exam would be so difficult? He did not know how difficult the advanced and invincible chapters would be, but he had failed more than 70 times in the introductory chapter. There were as many as 15 subjects in each exam. There was no such thing as passing with 60 points. One had to pass with an S-level score, which was full marks. A wrong punctuation mark in the essay would result in a 0.5-point deduction, and then he would fail. In addition, all 15 subjects had to be passed in one go. If he failed one, he would have to start all over again. What was even more infuriating was that every time he failed, the exam would not be arranged immediately. Instead, he would have to start from the sentence, "Student Qin Guang, please focus." Everything had to be redone. The process was super boring and super torturous. He could not afford to be careless during the exam, or else he would have to start all over again. How could a person not make even the slightest mistake? Furthermore, these 15 tests were one after another. There was no time to breathe in between. If it wasn't for the world in the cup's spiritual seal, he would have almost suffered a nervous breakdown. The same words, the same person, the same thing. The first time he experienced it, the second time he experienced it, the second time he experienced it, the third time he experienced it, and the fourth time it became torture. As for the last dozens of times, forget it, let bygones be bygones. We have to learn to look forward. Old Master Guang felt that he had really underestimated the heavenly Holy Grail. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. No wonder he was given a beautiful blonde teacher with big wavy eyes. The cup world of the heavenly Holy Grail's special training was so boring and torturous. If not for the fact that this teacher was pleasing to the eye, I would have quit then, alright? To be honest, I only wanted to pass the exam. You don't have to train me into a master. Unfortunately, the heavenly Holy Grail could not hear his cries. There was no turning back, and there was no medicine for regret in this world. The effects of the Heavenly Holy Grail's skills training were never discounted. Although all you wanted was a mung bean for the sake of my reputation, I had to let this distinguished guest experience the best training effects. I had to give you a field of mung beans. The product of the Holy Grail was definitely the best. That was probably what it meant. Chapter 843. Congratulations, Qin Guang. You've successfully completed your first semester. Thank you for the compliment, teacher. It's finally over. Qin Guang stared at the blonde, blue-eyed and wavy teacher to pest. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off. He'd worked himself to the bone until now. At least there was something to be happy about. He waited for a long time but Teacher Tepes didn't move. It seemed like she'd forgotten her promise. Teacher your clothes. You've died more than 70 times and you still have the cheek to ask me about my clothes? Your overall assessment score is Z grade. What the hell is Z? Isn't it only A, B, C and D? Passing once is S and passing twice is A. I gave you Z because there are only 26 letters in English. It's all a lie. Then do you want to study by yourself or continue to experience my loving teaching? Looking at the two faintly discernible lumps in front of Niquo's chest, Qin Guang silently considered for 3 seconds. Forget it, it was better than nothing. Thank you, teacher. Looking at his reluctant face, Nicosie already wanted to strangle him in her heart. Do you think I want to talk to you in such a gentle manner? I just want to kill you, okay? Niquo's protest was ineffective and so was Qin Guang's. The merciless advanced chapter smashed into their heads. Qin Guang was tortured but Niquo's wasn't any better. Although she looked like an overbearing, cold and sexy teacher on the surface, only she knew how much suffering the soul in this body was suffering. In fact, it was understandable that the Heavenly Holy Grail was able to control everything like this. Although Niquo's was a genius, she was, after all, a completely different profession from environmental impact assessment. It was not a problem for her to recite the basic knowledge, but if she wanted to systematically explain the depth of the environmental impact assessment, it would be beyond her ability. Even someone with a high IQ like her had to at least learn and understand before she could truly be qualified for this teaching task. The introductory chapter was already hard enough to make one's hair stand on end, let alone the advanced chapter. Old Master Guang swore to himself that when he had enough faith points in the future, he would not repeat the same mistake. He would reject the beggar version, the deluxe version, and the supreme VIP version. Using one's brain to learn wasn't any easier than training one's body. Both had their own hardships and pains. Only when he lost it did he realize that it was too late to regret. Only now did he realize that it was a rare blessing to be well-developed but simple-minded. After failing nearly 200 subjects, he finally gritted his teeth and endured it. Even though the world in the cup had the ability to seal one's mind, he was still mentally and physically exhausted. He stared at Teacher Tepes with a pair of dead fish eyes. Having learned from his mistakes, he no longer hoped for an S-level reward. He had to thank fate that he was still alive. He had no time to think about anything else. Classmate Qin Guang, all right, Teacher Tepester, stop talking. Let's get straight to the invincible manual. I've already become a Buddha. My heart is as still as water, and I will no longer be shaken by anything in the world. Really? Although you're still rated Z this time, I approve of your performance. Don't be shy. I'll let you have a look. Nicosia screamed frantically in her heart. No. But it was no use. Her uncontrollable hands grabbed the collar of the deep V shirt and pulled it hard. Teacher, why do you have a chest patch? This is a place to teach and educate people. Classmate Qin Guang, please correct your attitude and don't have any meaningless thoughts. How dare you say something like that? Your shamelessness is comparable to that of the old man. Nicosia rolled her eyes quietly. Like owner like cup. She had been forcefully given a character's personality, but she had learned it all from Qin Guang. Their level of shamelessness was the same as meeting one's match. What would come would come. Qin Guang leaned back in his chair. Come on, invincible manual. Don't dawdle. Just let me die early. Actually, I don't ask for much. I just want to study hard and be a good person. He had failed more than 200 times just to become the best environmental assessment engineer in today's society. Then he remembered that the invincible manual required him to learn knowledge that was 20 years ahead of the current technological level. It was terrifying. The knowledge was so advanced and the exam rules were so crazy. Wouldn't he have to fail thousands of times to pass? Every time it was exactly the same from beginning to end. Although he had no concept of time in the world in the cup, a round of the advanced manual would take at least 10 years. Counting his fingers, he had spent a total of 3,000 to 4,000 years on the advanced manual alone. Then wouldn't the invincible manual take tens of thousands of years? Although his time and spirit were completely frozen now, the number was so ridiculous. Just thinking about it made him want to die. While he was letting his imagination run wild, he suddenly heard a voice. Congratulations, you've completed the third semester's invincible manual learning task with an S-level evaluation. What? I haven't started yet, have I? Oh, it's already over. 20 years later, the backward subject of environmental impact assessment has been replaced by a more systematic theory. Qin Guang, are you kidding me? You scared me so much that I almost peed my pants. You said you passed just because of a disagreement? How could this work? Turned out that it really worked. Before he came to his senses, the heavenly Holy Grail kicked him out of the world in the Cup of Love classroom. He didn't stay in Yunqing for more than a few minutes. After taking a breather and cursing the heavenly Holy Grail in his heart for a while, his mind swayed again and he appeared outside in the blink of an eye. He was still holding a book in one hand and a cup in the other. The invigilator was already yelling for people to hand in their textbooks and review materials. Qin Guang stood up. His body swayed subconsciously and he almost sat down again. His body didn't feel any discomfort, but his mind was a little uncomfortable. He suddenly remembered that he had been sitting on a chair and a desk for thousands of years. It wasn't that he didn't want to get up, but he couldn't. He was nailed to the chair and couldn't move his butt. Although that was in the past, Qin Guang couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It turned out that it was also a kind of happiness to be able to stand. He threw his bag to the side of the podium, turned off his phone and threw it in. He sat back again, holding his chin with his hand and looking out of the window quietly. Thousands of years had passed in the world in the cup, but in the outside world it was only less than 0.1 second. From time to time, people looked at Qin Guang with strong curiosity and awkwardness. Some thought he was crazy, some thought he was a genius, some were envious of his success and some were jealous of his luck. There were 1,000 Hamlets in 1,000 people's eyes, not to mention that there were far more than 1,000 people who knew Qin Guang now. From the moment he decided to become a celebrity, Qin Guang was mentally prepared for this. He didn't find it strange, nor did he feel uncomfortable. After the initial discomfort, he realized that he sometimes indulged in the feeling of being the center of attention. This wasn't because he was vain. His reputation was earned by risking his life and suffering. It was his reputation, so he naturally had a clear conscience when he enjoyed it. Up until now, the only time I had deceived the public was when I had Nicosia take the Modern Chemistry 4 exam for me the day before yesterday. But that was all in the past. From now on, I was a good and righteous young man. Just wait to kneel before the Lord Prodigy mortals. Qin Guang had a sinister smile on his face. He stared straight at the invigilator who was handing out the exam papers as he walked. The poor invigilator didn't know what was wrong with him. He clearly didn't do anything, so why was this famous person in the school staring at him with a sinister smile? He heard that his private life wasn't that good. Could it be that he didn't even let men go? The invigilator inexplicably clamped his hips. He was so nervous. Was he going to be a sugar daddy? The specific process of Qin Guang's exam didn't need to be described in detail. However, the outside world was once again in an uproar because of his generosity. Yu Hong, Fong Tianyu and Lu Xiaoyang fought fiercely with an almost desperate mood. They finalized the crazy decision of letting Lu Xiaoyang announce to the public that Qin Guang couldn't be pulled back even by 10 bulls. He gave away 100 million yuan as a competition prize. Moreover, the company was still a startup and there was no clear profit model. He was clearly trying to squander the company on purpose so that he could justifiably quit his job. If the CEO of a listed company made such a decision as if he had taken the wrong medicine, he would be impeached at the shareholders' meeting and start to doubt his life. However, it was a pity that Tianguang Brokerage wasn't listed. Instead, it was a shareholding company. Moreover, this crazy chairman personally controlled 80% of the shares. The other shareholder, Tang Jia Fund, was completely incompetent. Even if Qin Guang wanted to sell the entire company to others for a dime, as long as the number one person in charge of Tang Jia Fund, Tang Shaokai, didn't jump out to stop him, no one could do anything about it. 3-1. Bigger than you. King. Xiaolu, you've lost everything. You're up. Qin Guang's 3 right-hand men in the company used such a rigorous method to convince Lu Xiaoyang to announce the news to the public. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyang was standing on the podium of the press conference, looking down at the group of reporters that he had just met this morning. Beside him stood the president of the Wuxia Language Association, who was a little restless. This man was still fiddling with a Spanish dictionary under the table. That's right. After hearing the insider news that could explode one's eardrums, he had already started to revise his Spanish that he had thrown away for a long time. He was also planning to participate in the competition. The reporters at the press conference were also in an uproar. They were even a little impatient. They felt that the people from Tianguang brokerage had nothing better to do. They were simply professionals at press conferences. They were addicted to holding press conferences. Couldn't they take a break after holding 2 conferences a day? Otherwise, couldn't they have said everything in one go in the morning? Did they really think that driving in Beijing wasn't torturous? The Ziziman overpass would teach them a lesson in minutes, all right? Lu Xiaoyang secretly rolled his eyes. Then he suddenly picked up the microphone and said in a tone that was close to a desperate wail, "After continuous discussions, our company has decided to increase the sponsorship investment for the World Language Conference. The total amount is 140 million renminbi. Of which 100 million renminbi will be used as the prize pool for this year's World Language Conference." Boom. The huge venue exploded with a bang. Oh my god. My 7th granduncle. Was Qin Guang trying to turn the world upside down? Chapter 844. A young reporter stood up from the back and looked at Lu Xiaoyang in disbelief. "Mr. Lu, is what you said true? Did we hear wrongly?" Lu Xiaoyang glanced at him and nodded. "Of course it's true. Our company would never joke about such things. This is the amount of the bonus pool that our company's chairman, Mr. Qin Guang, set." The press conference was suddenly filled with voices. Even the most experienced reporter could not hold it in anymore. Everyone whispered to each other, causing the conference room to buzz. It was as if thousands of bees had gathered together. "Mr. Lu, may I ask why your company suddenly raised the bonus to such an unbelievable level? Mr. Lu, did Tianguang Agency get a new injection of capital? But won't it cause a backlash from the investors? The almighty Qin Guang will be participating in the competition too. Did he set such a bonus because he is certain that he will win? Isn't that too arrogant? 140 million can do a lot of things. Why would your company choose to sponsor such a project that has almost no profit value? What's the point of your company doing this? I heard that Tianguang Agency has over 100 employees now. Mr. Lu, can you tell us more about your company's business plan? Although the internet celebrity economy is gaining momentum, Logical Thinking recently announced that it will withdraw from Pappy Chan's company. This means that the development and sustainability of personal IP needs to wait and see. Your company has yet to clarify its profit model. Isn't it too much to suddenly invest 140 million? Lu Xiaoyang felt that these people's questions were reasonable. Every word they said was like a knife stabbing into his heart. What you guys are asking is exactly what I want to ask my boss. But my boss is unreasonable. Thank you for your concern for our company. But President Qin has his own considerations. As employees, what we should do is follow President Chen's instructions and cooperate with the Chinese Language Association to hold this conference. As for your questions, I'll answer them when President Qin is free to come to Beijing. After Lu Xiaoyang finished speaking, he turned around and ran away. Don't bother with me, I want some peace and quiet. The press conference came to an end after Lu Xiaoyang ran away. Almost at the same time, a new round of press releases swept the internet. 100 million grand prize. Shocking your eyeballs. Qin Guang's move is extraordinary. What an incredible prize pool. Is the almighty Superman trying to set off a craze for foreign language learning? What does he want to do? Let the investors cry, let the onlookers cheer. Even if it's just an academic forum, I want it to be earth-shattering. Is this the motto of Brother Almighty Qin Guang? With such a crazy business brain, Qin Guang will definitely fail miserably this time. The hidden crisis under the prosperous appearance of Tianguang brokerage is just a rookie in the business world. The Tangjie Fund, which has never failed in its investments, will suffer heavy losses. A super tycoon from Wuxia. He made the World Language Conference shine with unprecedented brilliance. A genius or a madman? How far can Qin Guang go on his unconventional road to fame? The Wuxia language world, which had already been blown into the sky, was even more blown up this time. Wang Jiaqing, the doctoral supervisor of the Capital University of Foreign Studies, said, Qin Guang's actions can bring unprecedented attention to the language world. On behalf of the Wuxia language world, I express my gratitude to him for his contribution. As for him participating in the competition, I'll give him 2 words, he. Gao Zhida, the dean of the School of Foreign Languages at Donghua Normal University and a well-known senior expert both at home and abroad, was even more blunt. Some people use the hype they learned from other places on academics, which is a stain to the entire academic world. He makes the serious subject of linguistics stink. In fact, he's just a clown trying to impress the public. 100 million grand prize? On behalf of all students interested in linguistics, I thank him for his generosity, said Powell Bryan, a master of linguistics from Harvard. Will Bartz from Oxford wrote on his Twitter, My most respected friend Butler Guy has already set off from Istanbul. This true genius who is obsessed with learning can't sit still this time. Of course, I'm also preparing to participate in the competition. Although I'm definitely no match for Mr. Guy, how can I not go and experience such a grand event? The Twitter comments of these well-known scholars were even more lively. Arrogant Wuxia person. I've heard of him. He's the holder of the airline's hero medal. I recognize his contribution to the aviation industry, but in terms of linguistics he's just a ridiculous clown. He'll pay for his ignorance and arrogance. But maybe he was doing charity from the beginning? This incredible explosive news not only swept across Wuxia in an instant, but even countless foreign media outlets followed up and reported on it at the same time. Even though it was early in the morning over there and people had not woken up yet, they could not stop this news from exploding on the internet. There was no need for any deliberate publicity. As high as 100 million yuan or 45 million US dollars, just as Qin Guang thought, this prize pool was enough to explode. This number of prize pools may not have broken the records of many competitions in human history. After all, the prize pool of Dota 2's Seattle International Invitational Tournament had reached a terrifying level of 20 million US dollars this year, not to mention the prize pool of the UEFA Champions League. But this competition was not the Dota Champions Shield, which required many people to go through a long period of effort and preparation to compete. It was also not the Champions League, which had extremely high viewership ratings and huge amounts of advertising fees, sponsorship fees, and live broadcast licensing fees as prize money. This was just a small competition in the World Language Conference, which was not particularly valued. The prize money was not distributed to the large number of participating teams, but directly to the individual. The individual prize money for the champion was as high as 50 million yuan. More than 7 million US dollars. Such an exaggerated amount of prize money was enough to make the whole world excited. The foreign friends did not care who paid the prize money. They only knew that the prize money was so high that no one could refuse it. As for the initiator of the whole thing, it only took him 30 minutes to finish the paper in front of him. He was ready to hand it in and leave. Seeing Qin Guang stand up, the invigilator sitting on the podium who had been staring at him, raised his eyelids and said mockingly. He thought to himself that young people nowadays were like this. They became arrogant when they had money and they didn't care about their studies anymore. They felt that the courses in the university were enough. This guy thought that it didn't matter even if he failed the course. He had money anyway and he could ask the university to give him a break. To be honest, he really could do it. Sigh, it's still depressing to think about it. Forget it, you're Qin Guang. You're good, I can't afford to mess with you. As for the possibility that Qin Guang had already finished the paper, the invigilator did not even consider it. What a joke, it would be impossible to finish the environmental impact assessment paper in half an hour. Just those few essay questions alone would take you an hour to write. Even those top students would have to write until their hands were sore during the 2.5-hour exam, okay? You only had half an hour, what can you write? As long as you don't give me a blank paper, I have to thank you for giving me face. However, when the divine light of new science put the paper in front of him, he realized that he was wrong, ridiculously wrong. Not only did this guy not hand in a blank paper, but the paper was densely filled with words. Was he writing a web novel? Was he writing nonsense? That's right. That must be it. Let me see your essay questions. The doctoral invigilator continued to look down. In less than a minute he suddenly raised his head and looked in the direction of the door. It was as if countless bells were ringing in his head at the same time, and his ears were buzzing non-stop. He almost wanted to directly kneel down. Crazy, completely crazy. What the hell is going on? The prodigy had been gone for 5 minutes, but in the eyes of the invigilator, his godlike silhouette was still standing there. His back was shining with a dazzling brilliance that made people want to worship him. The invigilator wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. Damn, an undergraduate student answering an essay question on the Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment actually made me, a doctoral student, want to kneel down after reading one question? Unbelievable. But what he wrote really makes sense. I can't believe it. How on earth did you manage to write such a thorough explanation on the examination paper? You're even more profound than my mentor. Also, did you install a small electric motor on your hand? You wrote so many words in half an hour? A humanoid printer. The invigilator was not wrong. The strongest environmental impact assessment master in history, coupled with Qin Guang's invincible Qilin arm, could answer questions so quickly, so domineering, so unreasonable and so unreasonable. Old Master Guang was now walking alone on campus, leaving only the legend of the prodigy in the invigilator's heart. He did not dare to return to his dormitory, afraid of the 3 frogs in the well who persevered in dragging him down and boosting others' morale while belittling his own. Anyway, you won't believe anything I say and you can't stop me anyway. It's better to reminisce than to see each other. When the old man succeeds in ascending to the throne and sits on the throne of the Emperor of Language, he'll return home in glory and experience the worship of you mortals. My heart aches for your menisci. I'll probably need to help you contact a surgeon. He went straight to his rented apartment and took out the book, Environmental Economics, to continue reading. As for the World Language Conference, he was not worried. As the actual controller of the company, he would set the general guidelines and leave the specific operations to Dog 3 and the rest. He was confident in these people's work, even though they were too narrow-minded like Little Lin and the rest, thinking that he was going to be the one giving away money. But old Master Guang did not mind. You might not believe it, but if it wasn't for the incredible one-line Heavenly Grail, even I don't believe I could do it. They had the mindset of a normal person and did not know the truth about the Heavenly Holy Grail. Their outlook on life and the world would forever remain at the level of mortals. But it didn't matter. As long as he kept slapping them in the face, they would one day understand his painstaking efforts. After all, once I start slapping people in the face, I don't even care about my own people. I've never let my own people off, and I'm especially excited about slapping my own people. Chapter 845. Around 8 at night, Qin Guang received another call from Lin Jingwei, who refused to give up. Spit it out if you have something to say. I'm super busy right now. He was really busy. Actually, if he had used his faith points sparingly and followed the beggar version, he would have been able to rely on the world in a cup to complete the next 2 courses, including environmental economics. However, the countless painful lessons from before had reminded him not to do anything like a beggar version in the future. That was too much of a scam, especially when it came to using his brain. It was much more dangerous than training his body. The deluxe version this time had disgusted him to the point that he regretted being reincarnated. He had barely managed to survive thanks to the sexy and gentlemanly teacher Tepester. The power and horror of the beggar version was simply unimaginable. He might even fail miserably and die in it. Therefore, the idea of relying on the beggar version to become a beggar prodigy was just a thought. If possible in the future, he would also like to be a glorious money earner and experience teacher Tepester's supreme VIP loving teaching. Brother Guang, as your brother, I know you're amazing and that you're always confident in doing things. But brother, listen to my advice. Although 100 million isn't particularly exaggerated, and there's a lot of hype outside, even a broken public account full of zombie fans can be valued at 1.5 billion. That's just hype. You're paying with your own money. Are you done? If not, I'm hanging up. Don't. Brother Guang. I've specially looked through the internal information for you. You have the authority to see it yourself. Even in our army there are true geniuses and pure monsters. They're super intelligence geniuses who are proficient in 29 foreign languages and can read and write 30 to 40 languages. Your bonus is so high that it might even tempt your own people to come out and earn some money. Do you want to kneel? The confident Master Guang smiled. What an ignorant youth. That's just a fraction of what I'm worth. Hey, I got it. Goodbye. Pop. He hung up. Master Guang decided to turn off his phone. At this moment his phone rang again. He picked it up and saw that it was an unknown number. Based on past experience, this should be a call from abroad. To answer or not to answer? This was the question. Forget it, I'll just take it and give it a try. I won't lose anything anyway. Unexpectedly, as soon as the call went through, the first thing that came through was the ear-piercing loud voice of her father, Qin Guoli. Qin Guang stretched out his finger and dug his ear. Oh my god, it was so loud even through the phone. Even his earwax was loosened. You idiot. Are you crazy? I know you have money now, but how can you spend money like this? Are you trying to piss me off? I'm telling you, hurry up and announce to the public that you're joking, or I won't have a son like you. Brother, don't be like this. Let's talk things out. Qin Guoli, no, I'm going to have a heart attack from anger. Seeing that his dad didn't move for a long time, Qin Guang snickered in his heart. His dad must have been shocked by him calling him brother. Dad, aren't you enjoying life abroad? I can't even find you. Why do you care about me? Please let me go. Today at least 10,000 people made me change my mind and I almost got dragged into a mental hospital. But these words are like water that has been spilled. Moreover, they were directly announced to the public. How can I take them back? What's done cannot be undone. There's no other way. We woke up early in the morning and it was on the TV. Even the hotel staff was talking about your competition. How can we not see it? If I remember correctly, you basically failed high school English. Even if it's really just a sponsorship, this is a bit too much. Not much, but it's definitely worth it. Your genius brother has a whole set of plans. Your little brother started from scratch, from nothing to something. Isn't that how I've always been? It's just a mere 100 million. It's not worth mentioning. Qin Guang said casually. Say it again? Dad, I was wrong. Forget it. You've grown up. I can't control you anymore. The key is that your mom also knows about this. And it's impossible for you to win. Just our family's tour guide, no matter how young he is, knows 3 languages. English, German, and French. Just *T with mom. Just say that someone is sponsoring me. Dad, you're more familiar with this than me. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I still have a makeup test tomorrow. I'm reading. After saying that, Qin Guang did not wait for Qin Guoli to continue lecturing him. He hung up and turned off his phone in one go. Suddenly the whole world became quiet. The feeling of being the only sober person in the world was great. The next morning, good news finally came from Beijing. The World Language Conference that no one was interested in became a hot topic overnight. In just 2 days, countless domestic and foreign companies gathered in Beijing like wolves smelling the fragrance of meat. They went straight to Yu Hong, Fong Tianyu, Lu Xiaoyang and the others. Although the whole thing seemed extremely messed up, these entrepreneurs had extraordinary confidence in Qin Guang's projects based on his previous successful experience. It did not matter how Brother All-Rounder performed in the competition. But as long as it was a project that he participated in and operated, it would definitely attract enough attention. Of course, there was no doubt that the better Brother All-Rounder performed in the competition, the more popular the competition would be, and the better the sponsorship effect would be. But even if he was eliminated in the first round, the language competition with a prize pool of 100 million was enough to attract attention. Businessmen were after profits. While seeking stability, they were also very gamblers. It was indeed possible to run a business step by step, but at the crucial moment they had to take a gamble. It depended on who gambled the most and placed the heavier bet. A successful sponsorship could give the brand an unparalleled promotional effect. It was rare for a person to gamble a few times in life. A gamble could turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. These businessmen from all over the country and even the world were willing to bet on Qin Guang. After all, at least until now, those who bet on him had not lost anything. Qin Guang took a simple look at the prices that Yu Hong sent to the sponsors. He did not make any rash decisions. He only set a tone for Yu Hong to reject health products, shampoo and cosmetics. As long as it had a positive image and the company's reputation was reliable, he would accept it from whoever offered the highest price. Of course, the scope of this sponsorship was limited to this competition and not his own personal endorsement contract. He was quite satisfied with the final price that was negotiated. The naming rights of the king was won by Demi Mobile at a high price of 40 million. The other 3 secondary sponsorships were all settled at a price of 10 million. They were Bubuffet Lighter, Ricky Motors and Uniqlo Retail. This price did not seem high. It was incomparable to the 200 million title sponsorship fees of ace variety shows like The Voice of China. But on second thought, how many episodes did The Voice of China have in a season? How long would it be broadcast on television? How many images and video messages would be left behind? The competition segment of the World Language Conference would at most last 3 to 4 days. It would be over once the competition was over. In such a short period of time with a relatively concentrated burst of information, to be able to get such a price and earn a total sponsorship income of 70 million was already an exaggeration. Not bad. Keep up the good work. We can also negotiate for the broadcasting rights. Don't go too low. We have to make money this time. Qin Guang hung up and looked at the Azure Starry Sky app on his phone. There was new news. The day before yesterday's Principles of Chemical Engineering had passed. 83 points. Although it was not as exaggerated as the full score of 4 points in modern chemistry, the old man did not disgrace the title of the sharpening gun king. On the other end, Yu Hong sighed in his heart and agreed. This boss of ours is really hard to please. The total investment of 140 million had already been made. The advertising sponsorship fees had been earned by the 4 spendthrifts of 63 million. It was already a fool's dream to think of using the broadcasting rights and other profits to recoup the cost. How could there be so many spendthrifts in this world? Just now, Brother Little Chong said that he has bought out the domestic online broadcasting rights. Moreover, it will be broadcasted in Brother Guang's own live broadcast room. The gifts from the audience will also be given to Brother Guang. He has singled out a price of 20 million. If the actual audience during the live broadcast of the finals exceeds 15 million, he will increase the price to 30 million. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyang suddenly whispered into Yu Hong's ear. Yu Hong's eyes twitched. There really seems to be spendthrifts. Chapter 846. Qin Guang was rather satisfied with Tianguang Brokerage's efficiency. Just like many of the previous events, the World Language Conference this time had also happened in a hurry. To be able to finalize the contract with the Huaxia Language Association in such a short period of time, change the prize pool as he wished, and now to be able to come up with advertising sponsorship income that he was rather satisfied with in just half a day, they had done a rather perfect job. If he had to do all these things himself, just the thought of it made him feel that it was a beautiful picture. That was the good thing about his brother having people under him. While his underlings outside were discussing about a huge project worth tens of millions or even hundreds of millions, the mastermind and initiator behind the scenes, Master Guang himself was sitting in the classroom, scratching his head as he did his test paper. Without going through the special training of the world in a cup, he had to force himself to sharpen his spear at the last minute. Sure enough, the difficulty level was extremely high. In this unlucky environmental economics, how could there be any major principles? It was all concepts that had to be memorized. Throughout the entire process, only the last question was a calculation question related to the trading of pollutant discharge permits. The rest of the questions had to be memorized. However, there was a saying that went, "Don't ask for high marks, just ask for a passing grade." As the sharpening king of his generation, although he had to scratch his head throughout the exam, it was not a problem for him to fill up the paper. Whether it was right or wrong was another matter altogether. At the very least, the paper looked full of words which would give him a lot of face when he said it out loud. It would not be a problem for him to get 60 marks. After hovering between life and death in the examination hall for a whole 2 hours, Master Guang finally handed in his test paper with a red face. It was not that he had blushed because the invigilator was pretty, but that he had been scratching his head the entire time. It was similar to when he had just finished a mock exam in his 3rd year of high school. It was definitely a sign that he had overused his brain. However, Qin Guang did not feel uncomfortable with this. Instead, he was secretly delighted. After all, the warm feeling in his stomach was especially comfortable. I don't know how other people train their inner strength. Are they all like me? When I'm concentrating on something else, the little mouse formed by the inner strength will jump out and stroll around nonstop. I keep feeling that the little mouse is getting stronger every day, but no matter how carefully I examine it, I can't seem to figure out why. It's very strange. This can't be a psychological effect, right? He remembered that one had occasionally mentioned that when martial artists cultivated their inner strength, after their chi sense had taken shape, all that was left was to persevere and grind. Every day they would meditate and circulate their chi sense, allowing it to circulate in their body. Apart from that, they had to maintain the training of their physical body and they could not be lazy. Practicing martial arts was like rowing a boat against the current. If you did not advance, you would fall behind. Other than that, although martial artists did not need to strictly control their diet like bodybuilders, it was necessary for them to consume a large amount of food every day. While taking in food, he also needed to maintain a high intensity of exercise to strengthen and maintain the level of his physical body. This was to coordinate with his inner strength and chi sense to improve together. He had to cultivate both the inside and outside of his body. He couldn't lose balance in any aspect. Only with internal and external coordination would one be able to display the greatest strength when fighting with others. Qin Guang felt that what Wenwen said sounded very reasonable, but when it came to himself, it was completely different. To be honest, it seemed that he had never deliberately trained his physical body. He had never thought about the painting volume, a peerless godly martial art that was regarded as the most precious treasure by countless people. Instead, he relied on the opportunism of the world and the cup all the way, completely saving the painstaking effort that others needed to train for years in the winter and summer. Now that his physical body had reached perfection, he was even more lazy. If he could drive, he would not walk. If he could not move, he did not want to move at all. The only thing that was similar to ordinary martial artists was that as his physical body evolved, his appetite became more and more exaggerated. Anyway, the school cafeteria lady and the owner of the breakfast shop downstairs wanted to call the police several times. However, his physical body had never shown any signs of degeneration. If he did not learn or train, he would not be able to, but his body was just so hard. There was no other way. Those who had a cup were just that confident. Forget it, it seemed pointless to keep thinking about these useless things. Since he could focus on other things and let his inner strength grow naturally, this was definitely a good thing and not a bad thing. Old Master Guang, who was self-taught, did not know that this phenomenon of his was enough to make Wenwen go crazy with jealousy. It was true that Wenwen was a genius. It was also true that her skills had improved rapidly recently. However, it was only recently that she had become particularly powerful. Before that, she had to train hard every day without rest. Compared to Qin Guang, who could increase his inner strength without doing anything that had nothing to do with martial arts, the former Wenwen was a far cry from him. Tomorrow he would be taking the final exam, environmental politics. By then he would have saved up close to 1,000,000 faith points. Although he still would not have the chance to experience the Supreme VIP, he would just have to make do with the deluxe version. When he had saved up 2 million, he would look for Teacher Teepister and discuss the philosophy of life with him. In any case, the makeup exam for the super zombie disease for the 5 consecutive courses ended here. Now that there was nothing to worry about, he felt relaxed. He was not afraid that the 3 idiots in the dormitory would keep making a fuss about the world's language club. Now that he had nothing to worry about, he wanted to do something to pass the time. Then should he ask the 3 of them to soar on the stairway to heaven? Dota's national server had been silent for a very long time. It was time to stir up a storm of blood once again and let those mortals see the power of a god with 4 legs. He whistled and sang as he walked in the direction of the dormitory. Not to mention, there were enthusiastic fans who came up to him from time to time to ask for his autograph. Now that he was free, old Master Guang did not reject these overly enthusiastic fans. It was only limited to female fans. Sooner or later, I will sign all the girls in the school. When that time comes, naturally no one will stop me on the road. As a celebrity, how could he effectively avoid the annoying and awkward situation of being stopped by people for autographs on the street? Very simple. Make my autograph completely worthless. I might as well open an online shop to sell autographs. Anyway, my Kirin Arm autographs are fast and I guarantee that I will personally sign it. I will not cheat anyone. $1 for one, and the larger the quantity, come quickly. Of course, there would definitely be people who didn't like him, such as the guys from the foreign language faculty. But I'm sorry, I have already mastered the ultimate skill. My eyes, ears, and nose will automatically block out the haters. You don't even have the right to leave your name. If the world we live in is a novel, then you guys are not even considered passers-by. That's too sad. Where is Qin Guang? Hand him over. He dilly-dallied all the way up the stairs. When he finally reached the door of the dormitory, there was such a sudden shout from inside, causing him to tremble. This shout was extremely sharp and carried an unsuppressible anger and fury. It was like the roar of an evil god from the depths of hell, making people who heard it feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. It was rather terrifying. Assassins. Guards. Guards, come and protect me. What am I afraid of? I can fight so well now, and I have hidden bodyguards by my side at all times. I also have Lin Jingwei, the #1 prince of the country, squatting in the dormitory. How could there be an assassin coming to my dormitory in broad daylight to cause trouble? Besides, the voice sounded like a girl. Don't worry, the sky won't fall. Therefore, he opened the door of the dormitory carelessly, wanting to see which blind female fan actually chased into his dormitory. You can chase stars, but don't disturb the normal life of your idol. It's a bit too much to come directly to my door. Moreover, if you want to see me, you can leave your photo and contact information for Lin Jingwei and the others. If you're really so beautiful that you can cause the downfall of a city, I'll contact you later, since we're not unreasonable people. It's too much of you to be so mean to my buddy. But when he opened the door, he immediately wanted to turn around and run. The beauty of the girl inside was really above average. Unfortunately, it was someone he was familiar with, the kind that he was very familiar with. Moreover, it was someone that Qin Guang had been avoiding recently, not wanting to see at all. He stood at the door like a dumb goose, looking at the fierce face inside. She wanted to eat him, she wanted to bite him to death. Although she did bite him, it wasn't that kind of bite this time. She really wanted to eat him alive. I'm as stiff as a horse. Why can't I even recognize Sister Tang Ying's voice? I have to go to the hospital to have my ears checked. No, even if I go to the hospital, I will still bump into her. This is fate. He really couldn't blame his ears for being deaf. It was purely because he had been asking for people's autographs on the way here. Plus, Tang Ying's tone of voice was not the same as usual, and there was a door between them. In short, he could hide from the monk, but he couldn't hide from the temple. At this moment, the person who was pinching her ear was Bai Nyangzi. Heroine, spare me. I really don't know where Brother Guang has been these 2 days. He's been hiding from us. Poor Bai Fan was curled up in the corner, wailing at the top of his lungs, sounding very miserable. However, this young man was actually so principled when it came to major issues. He didn't betray himself, which was really surprising. His unyielding spirit was so touching that it made people cry. On the other side, Lin Jingwei and Xianxia, who were supposed to form a united front with Bai Nyangzi, were curled up in the corner of the upper bunk, trembling. There was no doubt that she was extorting a confession. Hearing the door open, she suddenly turned around and saw Qin Guang turning around to run. She released the hand that was pinching the poor Bai Nyangzi's ear and quickly chased after Qin Guang. Wow. I've searched far and wide for you, but today I've finally found you. Qin Guang turned around again, smiled stiffly and waved his hand. Hi. Sister Tang Ying, long time no see? Tang Ying glared at him. Long time no see, my ass. I just saw you a few days ago. Tell me, what the hell is going on in that head of yours? Such a big decision, so much money, and you actually spent it like this? You actually didn't ask for my opinion, the vice president's opinion. I just called you and you actually turned off your phone. Pretending to disappear, huh? Why don't you make a living person disappear again? Tang Ying couldn't help but be angry. Recently, she had been busy with the conclusion of her own research project. She shut herself in the medical university's research lab, so busy that she didn't even have time to breathe. Fortunately, she had concluded the project this afternoon. Only then did she have some free time to breathe in the fresh air outside. She hadn't even warmed her seat in the hospital office when the news of Qin Guang and Tianguang Agency sponsoring the World Language Conference for 140 million renminbi in one go stunned her. Chapter 847. Although Qin Guang held 80% of the shares in Tianguang brokerage and had absolute control, Qin Guang had invested $20 million in the company. But at the very least, our brother invested $20 million in this company. Now that the Tangjie Foundation owns 20% of the shares and is the company's second largest shareholder, he should at least have the right to give his opinion, right? Moreover, wasn't it obvious that he was fooling around by spending money like that? Tang Ying called Qin Guang first, and Master Guang, who was taking an environmental economics exam, naturally switched off his phone. Then Tang Ying called Yu Hong and a few other middle-level executives. Although Yu Hong and the others disagreed with Qin Guang's crazy decision, as employees of Qin Guang, even Yu Hong, who was sent by Tang Xiaokai, understood that he shouldn't get involved in the shareholders' dispute, especially since the relationship between the two shareholders was a little weird. It was like a love-hate relationship. That was the shuraba, and whoever touched it would die. Therefore, in the face of Tang Ying's doubts, the experienced staff also pushed the blame to Mr. Qin, who was a man of his word, and did not want their own opinions to be mixed in. Now that the matter had been announced and Qin Guang's attitude was unnegotiable, employees like them naturally had to follow the company's strategy. Tang Ying was rebuffed by Yu Hong and the others, so she called Tang Xiaokai to ask her useless brother what was going on in his head and why he didn't stop Qin Guang's crazy actions. In the end, Tang Xiaokai was even crazier than Qin Guang. His exact words were, "Sis, I told you long ago that you don't have to worry about this. The money I invested back then was for him to squander, and now that he's throwing in even more, I can't interfere with his decision. Honestly, I think it's better for him to squander it all as soon as possible. That way I can relax. I can't tell you more about this, but I really can't interfere with any of his decisions." Tang Ying had promised Tang Xiaokai that she would take good care of the 20 million investment, but now Tang Xiaokai had also given up. At that time she was helpless and angry, so she went straight to Qin Guang's school. Fortunately, he did not come here in vain. At least he managed to stop that person. "If I don't tell you today, you won't know why flowers are so red. Do you know that it's hard to start a business and harder to keep it? Have you forgotten the days when you were dirt poor? How can you spend money like this? If you really squander it all, what will you do in the future? Going to open the net again?" Tang Ying angrily stood in front of Qin Guang with her hands on her hips. "Do you know why I came looking for you? Come on, you have to give me an explanation, don't you?" Qin Guang scratched his head. "Sister Tang Ying, I really don't know how to explain this to you. But please believe me, I'm really not messing around. I have a complete set of plans and logic for this matter. I guarantee that I won't lose anything. Look at me, look at my sincere eyes." Unlike other masters, when others questioned him, Qin Guang just shrugged and curled his lips, acting like a scoundrel. "I'm just that arrogant. I'm rich and willful. I didn't spend your money, so what can you do about it?" However, he couldn't do that in front of Tang Ying because in a sense she did contribute a portion of the money he spent. Although it wasn't much, 20% was still more than 20 million, wasn't it? Tang Ying curled her lips. "Sincere, my ass. I know that you've never made a loss when you've done similar projects in the past, but you don't have to set the reward so high. That's 100 million in cash. You've also invested in a movie and now the entire company's funds are invested in it. Were you the god of fortune in your past life?" At this moment, Bai Nyangzi pounced from behind and shouted, "Brother Guang, run. I'll hold her back." Qin Guang was overjoyed when he saw him baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. "Bai Nyangzi, your sacrifice won't be in vain. I'll promote your book on Weibo later." Knowing that it was difficult to convince Tang Ying, the best way now was to run away and hide from her until the day of the World Language Conference. At that time, the raw rice would become popcorn, and she would have to admit it even if she didn't want to. When he won back the 50 million, he would get some other profits. Even if he didn't make a huge profit, he definitely wouldn't make a loss. At that time, he wouldn't even need to explain to her. She would understand how powerful he was. While Bai Nyangzi was exerting his strength, he would make a move first. Bam! Qin Guang fell to the ground with a thud. If he hadn't restrained his strength fast enough, Bai Nyangzi, who was hugging his leg, would have kicked him to death. Didn't you say that, Brother Guang? Run away quickly and I'll hold her back? Why the hell are you hugging my leg, you bastard? I didn't want this script. Miss Tang, I'll hold him down for you. This bastard is trying to escape again. Brothers, hurry. Bai Nyangzi grabbed Qin Guang's leg tightly and shouted back. Lin Jingwei and Xiong Jinke, who were originally shivering in the corner of the wall, got down from the ground and rushed forward as well. Qin Guang pinned the three of them on the ground. "You three bitches, I didn't want to use my strength because I was afraid of hurting you. Otherwise, I would have sent you to heaven in minutes." Tang Ying had a hideous smile on her face. She admired Qin Guang's three tactful classmates very much. They really deserved to be this guy's roommates. Sure enough, they didn't belong to the same family. All of them were really despicable. She didn't know whether these three people were infected by Qin Guang, or the four of them were infected by each other. But very good, just what I wanted. After a while, Qin Guang was tied up by a rope that Bai Fan found in his closet. He was firmly tied to the chair and looked at Tang Ying, who was gloating in front of him. Tang Ying waved her hand. "I'll have to trouble the three of you to leave for a moment. What's going to happen next is a bit 18 forbidden." "Miss Tang, what are you?" Lin Jingwei's eyelids twitched. "Brother Guang is really a walking seducer. I was tortured to death by Gao Yedu, but Brother Guang is actually flirting with every girl he sees. Even now he still hasn't failed. Bro, you're amazing. What are you thinking about? Don't you know your place? My 18 forbidden is violent and bloody, not erotic. Tang Ying cracked her knuckles. As the chief surgeon, she really did have some strength in her hands. The sound of her knuckles made people's teeth ache. The three of them hurriedly ran away with their tails between their legs. Before they closed the door, Lady White added gloatingly, "Miss Tang, we've tried to persuade him for a long time, but he just won't listen to us. We weren't lying when we said that we didn't know his whereabouts. Recently he's been hiding from us like we're thieves. No matter how I think about it, you're probably the only one who can turn his evil thoughts around. What's the point of voting for that stupid language conference? You might as well vote for my movie. Oh, and don't spill blood all over the floor. Otherwise, it'll be hard for us to clean up." Scram. Zhongguang only said one word to Bai Nyangzi. Bai Fan shrunk his neck, closed the door and ran away. All right. Sister Tang Ying, let me go. This matter is already set in stone. There's no point in saying anything now. Let's stop, okay? Qin Guang sighed and turned back to look at Tang Ying. Tang Ying gritted her teeth in anger when she saw how fearless he was. Impossible. You're just giving away money. How can you call this giving away money? I'm sure I'll win the championship. The 50 million prize money is transferred from my left hand to my right hand. It's just for show. Listen to me, the prize pool of 10 million is really too little. Look, if I make it 100 million now, the effect will be great. My dad called me earlier and said that everyone in Europe is talking about this. How much attention is being paid to this? How explosive this topic is. Once the topic is on the rise, the attention will follow. So far, we've already earned more than 60 million from the sponsorship contract we signed. If we add in other things later, I'll win another 50 million. It's really not a loss, okay? Tang Ying looked him up and down for a while. I know your English is good, but what's the use? You're underestimating the heroes of the world. Your opponent in the world's language conference is far beyond your imagination. Qin Guang curled his lips. I'm also far beyond your imagination. Why don't we make a bet? Who wants to bet with you? Anyway, my words are like water that has been splashed. Now that the whole world knows that the prize pool is 100 million, it's too late for me to change my mind. Didn't you say that I can't win? Let's go with the old rules, make a bet. How about this? If I lose the bet, I'll listen to you in the future. I won't go against whatever you say. In the future, if there's any important decisions in the company, I'll definitely ask for your opinion first. How about it? Tang Ying was a little tempted. She was a little afraid of Qin Guang's unorthodox ways of messing around. Moreover, he was right. The news had already spread all over the world, and many of the contestants had already set off. If Tianguang Brokerage were to stand the whole world up at this time, the company's reputation would be ruined. Even if they didn't go bankrupt, they would have to start anew. Even Qin Guang's reputation would hit rock bottom. His reputation as Tianguang's agent had been destroyed. Actually, she understood all the logic. She didn't really expect Qin Guang to take back his words when she came to look for him today. She probably just wanted to teach him a lesson and let him know that he couldn't do things like this in the future. From the looks of it, the effect was basically achieved. Tang Ying wasn't a completely unreasonable and unruly woman. She knew that it was okay to make a scene, but not too much. As for the bet that Qin Guang mentioned, it sounded a little tempting. It was a great opportunity to settle things once and for all. Subconsciously, she wanted to agree to it, but then she remembered the painful lesson from the last bet and became a little hesitant. Sister Tang Ying, I don't know what's wrong with me, but whenever I see you, I get addicted to gambling. What bet? My mouth can't come out. You tormented me on the plane last time. Boobs. Tang Ying thought about it. That seemed to be easier than talking. A gentleman's word. Even 4 horses can't catch up. Watching Tang Ying's car disappear into the distance, Qin Guang let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally dealt with it. 5 enemies, 5 bounties. There's a new name on my blacklist of face slapping. Sister Tang Ying, you'll definitely pay a painful price for doubting me. Speaking of which, it was strange that he and Sister Tang Ying seemed to have really become gambling friends. Brother Guang, we were wrong, please forgive us. Get lost, I don't have friends like you. Tell me honestly, why is there hemp rope in your wardrobe? How did you tie me up so skillfully just now? Did you join some weird circle on Weibo? No, absolutely not. I just watched a few videos. Qin Guang hammered the 3 of them hard. finally appeasing his anger at being betrayed. I have to go to Beijing the day after tomorrow. I'll leave the roll call to you guys, okay? Lin Jingwei, to be honest, the teachers should know about that stupid competition of yours. Who are you trying to fool by asking us to answer on your behalf? Don't mind the details, just answer on my behalf as a form of respect for the teachers. Chapter 848. Lin Jingwei didn't know when Gaoya became a swordsman, but it just so happened that Wenwen hadn't had time to play games for a long time. The 4 people in the dorm were Master C, Grandpa C and Gaoya, so they could form a 5-man team. Qin Guang's rank in the main account group was too high, and he couldn't form a team with these people. He had no choice but to register a new account. He hadn't done a live broadcast for a long time, so he decided to do it again. He changed the name of his room to The Strongest Thigh in the Universe. One god brings 4 legs to roam the fish pond. Although the name of his room was extremely arrogant, it had to be said that no one actually dared to criticize him. The reason was simple. It wasn't certain if there were aliens in the universe, but Dota fish ponds should only exist on Earth. In addition, before he was defeated by others, he was indeed the world's #1 player. His achievements weren't just for show. They were witnessed by countless players all over the world. In the Throne Challenge, which he paid for with his own money, he stepped on the heads of top experts and young geniuses one after another, proudly ascending to the top. There was no doubt about it. Although he was a god in this version, with the end of the invitational tournament, there was a big earthquake in the Dota professional circle. There were new geniuses rising, and there were also players like Tony Big Moo and Sorceress retiring. The era of the strong was always changing. However, no one could ignore the absolute dominance that Qin Guang showed in the Throne Challenge. He wasn't a professional player, but he was better than professional players. Therefore, it wasn't wrong to say that he was the strongest thigh in the universe. Xiao Tsong, who was busy promoting the online live broadcast of the World Language Conference, suddenly heard that Qin Guang suddenly started a live broadcast, and he was overjoyed. Sure enough, this bro's ideas seemed to come from slapping people's thighs. He seemed to be very casual, but in fact he was quite serious. He didn't even need me to say anything, and he opened his own live broadcast room to warm up. That's awesome, brother. It wasn't a waste of my 30 million staircase price. Xiao Tsong happily rushed to Qin Guang's live broadcast, wanting to see what this most unprofessional Chinese streamer was broadcasting. 30 seconds later he couldn't take it anymore. F***C, the invincible brother Guang, to think you would have such a day. Retribution. The current Qin Guang was miserable, truly miserable. One god carrying 4 legs looked very domineering and comfortable, but in fact the pressure was quite great at times. Although it was a smurf account, the opponents he was matched with were basically all good players. The difficulty of winning was not just for show. Among the other 4 teammates, 3 of them were experienced fishermen who were worth 4,000 points, but one of them was a beginner who had just gotten his hands on a deep-sea lanternfish that were worth 800 points. Their losses were as accurate as clockwork. Wherever they went they would die. Elegant corpses were left all over the map. That was not all. What was even more infuriating was that when she fought in a group she relied on shouting the entire time. However, she only shouted and did not press the keyboard. Unfortunately, they didn't know which brand of chili sauce she bought her mic from, and it would explode at the slightest provocation. Qin Guang and the others couldn't bear it. Their ears were ringing from her roars, but they didn't see her use any skills. Save him. Help. Help. Lin Jingwei, save me. He's coming. Sheep him. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Which skill is sheep? It's the pig transformation. You pig. He's a pig. Why did you say sheep? That's because Daddy Blizzard didn't give us the copyright. Alright, the 3 of us will give it to him together. It was supposed to be a great opportunity to counterattack, but Elegant did not use any skills before she died. Lin Jingwei, who had risked his life to help, was killed. Qin Guang, who had landed from the TP position, was also hit in the head by 10,000 skills from the 5 opponents. He was unable to move until he died. Everyone was soaked in the spring together, and Qin Guang finally had time to explain. In fact, with his reaction speed he could have dodged the opponent's stomps. However, he was stunned by Elegant's deafening explosion mic. His hand shook and the clone axe was released too early. Then his face was covered in fireworks. The bullet screen immediately took off. Brother Almighty, this is what you get. Bringing a girl is going to get what you deserve. Previous poster. I think this girl is Brother Almighty's classmate's girlfriend. I don't care. He deserves it if he's brought by a girl. Pigeon King has regressed. He would never have made a mistake like dodging and stomping before. Who told you to become a pigeon? You deserve it if you don't practice for 3 days. Using such a crappy mic to shout at a girl's ear, I feel like anyone who tries will die. *CK. He has too many diehard fans like you, that's why he's so arrogant. He's been pigeon dodging for more than a month. He's always messing around and doing nothing. We fans have all abandoned him. That's right. Kill Pigeon King. The admin has banned the gift spammer. You guys are so passionate about it. Are you going to watch Brother Almighty's competition later? Yes. Why not? Watch him embarrass himself. No, I'm his hardcore fan. Brother Almighty is invincible. I'll love you even if you die. Weren't you trolling him just now? You can be a fan too. Who asked him to be so good at dying? In any case, I don't care what he broadcasts. I like watching him win and watching him act cool. Previous poster. I also like Brother Almighty's style. I especially like seeing people annoyed by him but unable to get rid of him. They even get pissed off by him. But I'd rather watch him play the piano. I'm a music student. I admire him the most. Is the one who's learning the piano a girl? Is so what? Do you know each other? No. My body is reserved for my beloved brother Guang. Don't. Look at how he's been dying recently. How can Pigeon King deserve this? Girl, you have to treat him like this. Xiaozong was amused by the cuteness of Qin Guang and his classmates in the live broadcast. Looking at the bullet screen that was flying all over the screen, and looking at the endless gifts in the live broadcast room, as well as the number of viewers that had already reached more than 800,000 and was approaching 1 million, she felt very happy. Qin Guang's live broadcast room was different from other live broadcasts. The other live broadcasts all displayed the popularity value. It looked like a few 100,000 to 1 or 2 million was very impressive, but that was actually a figure that the live broadcast platform had tampered with. It would be good if the real number was 1/5. Displayed as the popularity value was clearly telling others that it was not the number of viewers, but a popularity parameter weighted by the number of viewers and other indicators. Don't accuse me of falsifying the popularity value. In the huge Bamboo live broadcast and even in the entire live broadcast world, Qin Guang's live broadcast room that directly displayed the real number of viewers was probably the only one. Now it looked like there were more than 800,000 viewers, but that was because Qin Guang had only started for about 10 minutes. Didn't you see that the number of viewers increased by more than 10,000 to 20,000 per minute? When the news of his live broadcast broke out in other information channels such as Weibo, there would be another round of blowouts. Judging from Xiaozong's professional experience, if Qin Guang were to broadcast for 4 hours, the number of viewers would definitely easily exceed 3 million. This was just a sudden idea of his to start a live broadcast without any warm-up effect. This was the power of China's strongest live broadcast host, Qin Guang. This was also the reason why when a celebrity broadcast, the number of viewers could easily crush ordinary live broadcast hosts. Because these celebrities had their own appeal, and what they could bring to the live broadcast platform was more traffic that originally drifted away from the platform. For example, the current live broadcast audience, for the time being, the game fans had the upper hand. After all, many of the audience on the live broadcast platform were originally game players, but as time passed, his fans from other aspects would come one after another. The most amazing thing about Qin Guang was that no matter what he did, it was at the top level. It didn't matter even if people didn't understand the game, they could always see him pressing his opponents to the ground and rubbing them, right? In addition, the biggest advantage of these diverse fans was that those who liked music came to Bamboo live broadcast because of Qin Guang. After Qin Guang went off the live broadcast, they might go to the singing area. Those who liked darts, wrist exercises, or racing might go to the sports area and watch the sports programs that Bamboo had the copyright for. In short, he was a phenomenal online celebrity. Although the time of his fame was extremely short, it was not by chance, but because he had the ability that exceeded the limits of human beings. As long as he wanted to be popular, it was inevitable that he would be popular. He had a variety of skills, and while he brought himself a large number of fans, his entire platform could also hitch a ride on his car, producing a chain reaction. Crazy money was never lost on him, it was only a steady profit. Although this master was called Pigeon Wang Guang by others, it didn't mean that others liked this kind of thing. The bullet screen was right. Compared to other anchors, Qin Guang was really a superpowered pigeon. As a live anchor he was completely unprofessional. Except for the time when he was breaking through the Sword Tower stairway, he had never broadcasted consecutively. Every time he broadcasted, it was either he had some big action or he would have a sudden burst of activity like he was crazy, and then he would run away after broadcasting. Xiao Tsong gritted his teeth in hatred, but he couldn't do anything to him. Not only could he not deduct his salary like other live anchors, but he also had to coax him and treat him like a master. Regarding Qin Guang's pigeon, not only was Chong Xiaotsong particularly helpless, but his various live broadcast fans were also exceptionally distressed. It was not the first time that the black screen sent the Buddha jumps over the wall. But then again, although this guy was a superpowered pigeon, his popularity was getting higher and higher. Just like today, he broadcasted without any warning, without any pre-hype, and his popularity was still so high. Therefore Xiaotsong was simply overjoyed. He was even more looking forward to the live broadcast of next week's competition. Brother Guang is awesome, I'm relying on you to fly. Xiaotsong was amused. Her fingers started to slide and she kept sending the gifts to him. The Buddha jumps over the wall soup was thrown out. In just 5 to 6 minutes he had spent 200,000 yuan on Qin Guang's live broadcast. Whether the gifts he gave to others were real money or data created by the backstage, it depended on the benevolent and the wise. But Qin Guang's live broadcast was different. The live broadcast platform did not take a single cent, but Qin Guang got all of it. This meant that Xiao Tsong had directly spent 200,000 yuan on Qin Guang in these 5 minutes. Chapter 849. What's worse was that little Tsong didn't even get a word of thanks from Qin Guang. Qin Guang was completely immersed in the battle. Principal Chong gave Pigeon King so many gifts, but Pigeon King didn't even thank him. How cold. That's because he's Brother Almighty. Speaking of which, although I don't play this game, why do I keep laughing at their jokes? Me too. I didn't expect Brother Almighty to be so good at crosstalk. Just like that, the God and Four Legs crosstalk team debuted. 4 hours later, Qin Guang swore that he would never do such a stupid thing again. If he didn't experience it himself, he wouldn't understand how difficult it was for Wenwen to train him with weights. This showed that Miss Wen was really strong. She didn't even have a golden finger like the world in a cup. She had to rely on her own strength to bring him, who used to be a deep-sea fish with 3,000 points, into the 5,000-point team. As the saying goes, a rat's poop can spoil a pot of soup. Even if the matchmaking system in Dota Tower was adjusted according to the average level of the team, no one could withstand a perfect 6th player, Gaoya. He was the one who reacted in time and blocked Gaoya and the other idiots. Only by turning off the mic and listening to music 1v9 did he manage to secure 4 consecutive victories. Thank you, little pink bamboo from Dream Listening Snow. Thank you, I'm cute, I'm the prettiest baldy. Damn Xiaotsong, I have hair now. Hurry up and change this exclusive gift to long hair. Thank you, weak chicken from Lemon Sauce. As Qin Guang prepared to go off the stream, he gave the most gifts to the person who sent him the most gifts and thanked the fans who sent him gifts. Yo brother Xiaotsong, you're learning for free? On the other side of the computer, Xiaotsong was furious. I've already sent you 200,000 yuan. Didn't you see that I'm the #1 fan this week? And I'm learning for free? Are you blind? In addition, the viewers in the live streaming channel also realized that when this B*TCH chose to thank his fans, he actually chose to thank them all with names that looked like girls. As for the male fans, he didn't even look at those who sent Buddha jumps over the wall. Brother Almighty is so cheap. But I like it. Brother All-Rounder, I'm also a female fan. Come in F***ck me. Go away, you homo upstairs. That's what I like about him. Brother is steady. I really don't understand what you guys like about him. He doesn't even thank you for the gifts and he only wants female fans. Damn idiots. Clown. Qin Guang continued, brothers, I'll end my broadcast here for today. See you guys later. Thank you everyone for your gifts. Don't forget to watch my match next week. Yo, I caught a shotgun. Directly block the IP. Brother Little Chong, this setting of yours is not good. The longest duration is only 36 months. Why don't you make it 30 years to be a real man? Whoosh. Once again it was godly. Blocking IPs was just so useful, killing a whole bunch of them. Although Xiao Tsong felt a little heartache, the haters in the studio were also popular and bullet screen comments. However, old Master Guang, who wanted to earn money and not serve the haters, was calm about this. He didn't want the popularity of the haters, alright? You only know how to scold and lead the way. You don't know how to send gifts. Not cute at all. After ending the broadcast, he opened the backend to take a look. Including the 200,000 from Xianxia, he had actually received another 500,000 to 600,000 in gifts in just one night of broadcast. How could he accept this? What did the old man do to deserve such love from everyone? Therefore he went on Weibo and posted another message. Brothers and sisters, brother doesn't lack money anymore. Everyone don't send gifts like this. It's better to use this money to buy more delicious food. In the end, his Weibo post was bustling with activity again. The comment with the most likes was this one. Brother Almighty, everyone thinks that you're going bankrupt. These gifts of ours are for you to make a comeback in the future. Qin Guang hated this comment to the core. I don't want fans like you. These people clearly think that I'm giving money away by messing around. Are you still my fan? Forget it. This young lady said it better. How could Qin Guang lose? I grew up watching his show. He has never lost before. It's the same this time. It's probably like this. If you don't say that last sentence, it's much more pleasing to the eye. However, not all of them were mocking him. There would always be people in this world who knew what was good for them. Qin Guang felt the most comfortable listening to such flattering words. Relying on the priceless advice from these unreasonable supreme fans, Qin Guang lay on the upper bunk in the dormitory room that he hadn't slept in for a long time and fell into a deep sleep. On the other end, Xiaotsong was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. In the 4 hours of live broadcast today, the peak number of people online had exceeded 5 million. In the end, the bullet screen was so fierce that it was impossible to watch. The entire screen was white, just like the snowflakes displayed on old televisions when there was no signal. Seeing this, Xiaotsong had no choice but to activate the bullet screen distribution that he had been preparing to do but hadn't made up his mind to do so. According to the end ID of the registered users, the bullet screen was divided into 5 streams. This was barely able to maintain the characteristics of the bullet screen live broadcast. Other than that, the number of fans in Qin Guang's live broadcast room had slowly increased from 3.7 million to 3.9 million. Tonight, it had increased by another 500,000, reaching an outrageous 4 million, looking down on the entire country. It was still the same old saying. The majority of his fans were real fans. There were basically no bots. Even the number of registered users in Bamboo had increased by hundreds of thousands. Nowadays, the bubble of the live broadcast industry was gradually bursting. Even Xiaotsong's own platform had a scandal of unpaid wages. The growth of users had also reached a bottleneck. Invincible live streamers like Qin Guang, who could get a bunch of registered users in one live broadcast, were simply existences akin to saviors. They allowed Bamboo platform to maintain a high growth rate even though the industry as a whole wasn't doing too well. Speaking of which, Brother Guang, don't you still have an environmental politics exam tomorrow? You're dragging us to play games today. Are you a real man? Lin Jingwei abruptly said while the chat was going on. Qin Guang picked up the Azure Starry Sky app and waved it. Sorry, I've already booked full marks for tomorrow. Thank you. You're bragging. Bai Nyangzi's face was full of disbelief. Qin Guang chuckled. A monk doesn't lie. Old man can get full marks for modern chemistry. What's a mere political science? Xianxia forcefully added. But you didn't get full marks for chemical theory. Qin Guang. Damn, how did you know? We've checked your student information. Lin Jingwei said faintly. Qin Guang chuckled. You guys won't understand the world of a genius. Lin Jingwei sighed. I don't really understand. The world of a convulsive genius is too complicated. If I didn't know that you had no one to help you cheat other than us, I would have thought that you did it yourself. Qin Guang smiled and thought to himself, what do you know? At noon the next day, the 3 people in the dorm looked at Qin Guang's shocking full marks on the Azure Starry Sky with their mouths wide open. They were completely speechless. This guy actually got full marks for Introduction to Environmental Impact Assessment. This was a scam subject that was recognized by everyone last semester as easy to pass and difficult to get high marks. Most of the questions were essay questions, and many senior geniuses who tried to get 90 points failed. This guy got full marks without saying a word. Completely unreasonable. Facing everyone's confused and admiring eyes, this time Qin Guang's heart was much calmer. He got full marks with his own ability, so he still had to show off. How about it? Now you know how powerful a genius is. Call me grandpa and I'll teach you how to get full marks. F***ck off. Bitch. Goodbye. No matter how envious and jealous these three people were, Qin Guang went to a teaching building with his head held high for the last makeup exam. After showing off, I'll go home and get married. I'll go to Yanjing to show off. I'll emit 5,000 years from now. In short, relying on the Environmental Politics Cup special training, he easily passed again. He actually used one of the 10 great artifacts, the Heavenly Holy Grail, to pass the exam. He did not know how the gods in the endless heavenly realm would feel about this, but anyway, Qin Guang himself expressed that he was calm. There was no other way. With faith he could be so willful. Besides, although failing the exam was a small matter, if he really failed, it would leave a knot in his heart. This was called a psychological shadow, and his thoughts would not be clear. What if it became a demon in his heart in the future? It was written in other people's fantasy novels that understanding one's thoughts was related to one's realm. It was super important. After the environmental politics exam, he was completely free. There were still a few days before the world's language gathering. Suddenly being separated from the warlike rhythm of life, he was not used to it for a while. After thinking about it, he had nothing else to do, so he went back to his rented room to soak in medicine and cultivate. Recently, he had been relying on the natural growth of his inner force to become stronger. He had almost forgotten that cultivating inner force still required meditation and breathing. With a genius like me, I'm already so powerful even if I don't train. If I also meditate, I should be able to be 100 times faster than usual, right? When he walked to the school gate, he was shocked by the crowd of people outside. It turned out that although Tianguang brokerage was stirring up trouble in Yanjing, there were still some reporters who were not satisfied with only being able to interview Yu Hong Fong Tianyu and Lu Xiaoyang. They always wanted to interview the main character, Qin Guang. However, due to this brother's unspeakable influence in the media world, and the poor Zhuowei's previous example, they did not dare to do anything. Although these reporters were very tempted, they did not dare to take action. He did not have any clear statement who would dare to forcefully block him like they did to other celebrities. The biggest paparazzi leader in the country had already been sent to jail for him. Large media reporters were afraid of him. Even if they wanted to interview him, they had to make an appointment through Tianguang brokerage. The small paparazzi who ran around alone could not bear the responsibility of offending him. If he bore a grudge against them, they would basically have to say goodbye to the media industry for the rest of their lives. Therefore they did not dare to come. Therefore these people were very painful, very confused, and very bashful. They knew that any word that came out of that person's mouth would be big news, but they did not dare to interview him. This feeling was like countless cats scratching their hearts. It was itchy and painful. This situation lasted until last night when Qin Guang finally started a live broadcast. Chapter 850. It seemed that although he had only been manipulating Tianguang brokerage behind the scenes until now, he himself did not seem to be particularly resistant to communicating with the outside world. At least when he was chatting with the bullet screen during the live broadcast or bragging to his friends who ran a scam shop, he would ramble on about the World Language Conference next week. This meant that it was very likely that he would be interviewed. Now, after these people had this thought, they were like sharp arrows that had been shot from a fully drawn bow. They swarmed toward Wujing University and charged toward it. Fortunately, Gokyo University's campus in Wenxing Town was usually under semi-closed management. These reporters' cars drove to the school gate, but they could not enter. Unlike other places, the reporters were blocked by the school police outside the gate, but they dared not barge in. On one hand, they were trying to find a way to contact the school's leaders. On the other hand, they were trying to find a way to contact Qin Guang through the students in the school. However, it was useless. Those who knew Qin Guang's contact information were only his classmates and a few familiar friends from other majors. They finally found someone, and this guy was quite smart. He was willing to call Qin Guang, but it was impossible for him to give Qin Guang's private number to these people. Therefore, he secretly dialed Qin Guang's number. In the end, the prodigy was in the middle of an exam and his phone was not turned on at all. Now that the prodigy had finished his exam, he was not in a hurry to turn on his phone. The people who would call him in the past 2 days would definitely be related to the World Language Conference. It doesn't matter who calls. I've eaten a steelyard weight. No one can stop my determination to be pretentious. For the one-line sky statue, I can do anything. Even if I have to go against the world, I will not hesitate. So, it's fine if I don't pick up the phone now. What are you doing? Illegal gathering? Qin Guang turned sideways and strolled out of the school gate, which was only slightly open to prevent people from barging in. However, he regretted it in the next second. These reporters did not make much noise, nor did they act recklessly. Just a moment ago they were still very calm, but now with a whoosh they took out their cameras from their bags and aimed them at him. One of the fiercest men held a camera in one hand and rushed forward like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. His index finger pressed down continuously on Qin Guang's big pancake face, and his other hand held a recording pen, stabbing straight at Qin Guang's face. Further away, in the blink of an eye, at least 40 to 50 cameras, recording pens, microphones and other oddly shaped objects were all aimed at Qin Guang. This scene was like dozens of executioners who were about to lose their jobs, fighting to execute a felon who had committed all kinds of crimes, and whoever shot first would get the prize. Qin Guang wanted to step back, but the quick-witted school police officer behind him quickly stood behind the door, using his body to block Qin Guang. Student Qin Guang, these are all reporters who want to interview you. Can you just let them interview you for a while? I'm going crazy from being annoyed by them. Please help me. It was not easy for the school police officer. 2 or 3 of them struggled to hold on at the gate for more than half an hour. The reporters also threatened to find a certain person from the school administration department to bring them in, and some said that they knew a certain secretary or something. This group of responsible school police officers was in a terrible situation. They were worried that something would happen if they let them in, and they were worried that they would offend someone because of this. It was really like a pig looking in the mirror not knowing what it looked like. As Qin Guang shielded his brother behind him, the reporter at the front pointed his recording pen at Qin Guang's nostrils. At the same time, the camera in that fellow's hand was still snapping, and the flash was about to hit his face. The guy was still yelling in a muffled voice, "Mr. Qin, what do you think of your company's big move in the World's Language Conference? Are you really as confident as the rumors say?" Instantly, Qin Guang was enraged. "You're an assassin, right? How can you film people like this? Do you want to blind my eyes? Your recording pen is a dagger." If this guy really poked his nose, his strongest body might not be injured, but it was inevitable that he would be unhappy. Of course, the person this guy wanted to interview was him. What if it was someone thinner and weaker? Wouldn't he be injured? What do I think? I look left, right, up, down, and I look with my eyes open. This is something I have decided, and you ask me what do I think? Qin Guang pinched his throat and said coldly. At the same time, he stretched out his right hand and grabbed the camera. With a strong pull, he held the camera in his hand, and with the other hand he grabbed the recording pen with his bare hands. Qin Guang's 5 fingers exerted force, and the SLR camera and the recording pen were turned into various parts and fell from his hands. It was as easy as crushing a piece of tofu. No wonder Wenwen could tear the wall with her bare hands in the past. This internal force was very useful. The reporter was instantly dumbfounded, and the people behind him who had been charging forward fiercely also paused. Damn, it was really as explosive as the rumors said. He tore the camera because of a disagreement? It seemed that he didn't want to cooperate. What should they do now? The reporters who were originally out of control because of the sudden appearance of him were suddenly held in midair. They really didn't know whether to advance or retreat, but they quickly calmed down. Everyone's head seemed to have been poured with ice water. Is there anyone who interviews people like this? Get lost. If others want to ask them one by one slowly. My camera and pen. Qin Guang rolled his eyes. Go to the Lida building and find manager Su Li of Tianguang Brokerage. I will compensate you for the price, okay? Not a cent less. Pay everyone else, follow the order. Ask one by one. Whoever talks nonsense like this guy, I will smash them all. Originally, Qin Guang was not such an unreasonable person. If you want to ask questions, I am quite free now, and I can also help promote the World Language Club. Of course, it is a happy thing. But this big guy's performance was a bit too much. Teaching him a lesson and letting him remember it was also a merit. Buddy, let's go really. The reporters behind saw that the big guy was still there, and they all began to persuade him. The big guy put on a long face and regretted it. Just now, he was hot-headed and forgot that this person was like a barrel of gunpowder. In the court, he had driven the deputy dean of Wujing University crazy with just a few words. When he unleashed his power, he would not even give face to God. He must have been an idiot. Of course, it was also because he was too arrogant when he was a paparazzi reporter. Generally, Other stars were photographed in this way. If others were disgusted with him, they would not really do anything to him. Star artists were also afraid of being slandered, and they did not want to cause trouble outside, and they could not beat them because they were not pleasing to the eye. But Qin Guang was not like this. This guy was a bit crazy. When this person flashed to the periphery, the others stood neatly in front of Qin Guang and looked at him. Qin Guang glanced at the distance and said, "First, let's all stand to the side, don't block the school gate." "Hey buddy, I have asked you to leave, why are you still standing there? You still want to use a mobile phone to film? At most, I will compensate you with a new mobile phone. Come. This time the big guy turned his head and ran away quickly. Qin Guang also did this on purpose. He did not want to encounter this kind of thing again in the future. This was called killing the chicken to warn the monkey. First, find the most arrogant person and let him suffer heavy losses. In the future, when this matter was spread out, he was in the right, and he could also remind the other reporters, let them know it is not that I do not want to cooperate with the interview, but you all have to follow the rules. You all cannot make me unhappy, or else I will not cooperate with you all. In this way I can save a lot of effort in the future. Qin Guang led the crowd to the side, raised his hands and waved. Okay, if anyone has any questions, ask them one by one. Everyone has one question, but I will wait for you all to finish asking, then I will give you all the answers. If everyone answers, it will take too long, but don't worry, you all will be satisfied with my answers, okay? Also, the scope of your questions is limited to this time's World Language Conference. Don't talk to me about other things, then I can only have no comment. Mr. Qin, your company invested so much this time. Is it because you are especially optimistic about this World Language Conference? Mr. Qin, even as an investor, you don't need to participate, right? There are many language masters and geniuses from all over the world rushing to Beijing. Do you really want to compete with them in the competition? Where did your confidence come from? There are already many linguism-related professionals commenting on your actions on the internet. How are you going to respond to them? Qin Guang let these people ask first, but he was not in a hurry to answer them. He just stood in front of the crowd with his arms crossed, and every time someone asked a question he would nod and smile, indicating that he heard it. The reporters were also helpless against this trick of his. Don't just smile, and you are smiling so handsomely, answer a question. Although these people were unhappy, they had learned a lesson from the previous big guy, and they pinched their noses and accepted it. Actually, Qin Guang did not even listen to what they were asking, and he was trying his best to maintain his composure. The left side of my face is slightly more handsome than the right side. When others take a picture of me, it will be more photogenic if I turn 15 degrees sideways. This time I will definitely be on a lot of media. Everything else doesn't matter as long as I am handsome in the picture. Anything else is fine, but my handsomeness and looks can't be let down. Ever since his hair grew out, he had become more confident. When the last person finally finished asking, Master Guang smiled faintly. Is there anyone else who hasn't asked? No, we've asked all of them. Actually, with so many people here, the first 10 or so had already asked almost everything that could be asked, and the scope of the questions was too limited, so there were only so few things that could be asked. The last few people could not even find what they wanted to ask, and they even asked questions like, will you eat roast duck after you go to Beijing? Nodding his head, Qin Guang continued, then I'll start. First of all, everyone must remember to add filters to my photos when you go back. The reporters, F***CK. What the heck is this? Chapter 851. My company has a professional publicity team. We will organize every piece of news about me. When I go back, I will get my team to carefully check everyone's news. Whoever photoshopped me, the better. We can sit down and slowly interview them. For the sake of being handsome, I will do anything. This bait is definitely awesome. The eyes of the old reporters lit up. It's time to show off the ability of a professional Photoshop expert. We love shameless celebrities like you the most. Secondly, I believe everyone saw my strength just now. Yes, that's right. To prepare for women, I even went to America to learn boxing from Mr. Bona Pierce. To act as the boxer in this movie, I put in a lot of effort. The reporters, you clearly said that you would only let everyone talk about the World Language Conference, but in the end you started to promote your movie first. Be reasonable. This isn't a roadshow for your movie. Although we can accept your shamelessness, you can't be this shameless. You beast. Everyone knows that I have invested a lot in this movie, be it in terms of finances or energy. So, I hope that everyone can help me promote it. Everyone replied weakly, all right. Seeing that it was about time, old Master Guang stopped. All right. Let's stop joking around and talk about serious matters. Seeing that he was finally going to talk about the World Language Conference, everyone's spirits were lifted. The big news was coming. He was different from other celebrities who had gone through professional training. When they were interviewed, they might look like they were bragging and chatting a lot, but when they turned around, they realized that they had not said anything at all. They were as slippery as sand and could only force other reporters to deliberately take things out of context to forcefully stir up the hot topic. But Qin Guang was not like that. It was just like how he had behaved at the press conference when Tianguang Talent Management was first established. This guy's words did not need to be taken out of context at all. Every word he said was naturally a big news. There is only one reason why I asked Tianguang Talent Management to take part in the World Language Conference. That is to let the whole world know that I am an almighty Superman. An almighty Superman. That is me. I, Qin Guang, am the person who has mastered the most languages in the world. This is not simply mastery but mastery. All the languages I have mastered are at the same level as other people's mother tongue. Although the total prize pool is as high as 100 million, I will definitely be the champion, so I will take back the 50 million. Secondly, you asked me what I think about other masters, geniuses, experts and scholars. I only have one thing to say. I don't see them as opponents at all. Every word they laugh at me now will become a resounding slap on their faces next week. Time will prove whether I'm fishing for fame or I'm the real deal. Alright, that's my answer. Goodbye. After saying that, Qin Guang took advantage of the brief moment when these people were in a daze to turn around and leave, disappearing from the school gate at the speed of light. It's just an interview. You want me to express my stance? How big of a deal is that? He knew that his arrogant attitude would definitely cause a lot of controversy. But it didn't matter. The more disputes there were, the more people would notice the world's language society. This was the attention he needed. He wasn't sure if the upper limit of the one-line divine statue was the same as the heavenly spirit statue, which was more than 52,000. If that was the case, then the effort he had expended this time was like shooting a mosquito with an anti-aircraft cannon. But as the saying went, even a lion would use its full strength to catch a rabbit. What was the difference between a person without a dream and a salted fish? What if it was like the custom-made world in the cup, and the upper limit of the one-line divine statue was 10 times that of the heavenly spirit statue? Then wouldn't he be rich? Anyway, there was no harm in stirring up the topic first. As for the possibility that some people might think that he was too arrogant, it didn't matter at all, because after the World's Language Society ended, everyone would suddenly realize that he wasn't being arrogant, he was clearly keeping a low profile. Even after Qin Guang had walked far away, these dozens of reporters still hadn't reacted. Their minds were buzzing. The person who came to interview Qin Guang for the first time was so moved that his eyes were brimming with tears. The person who came to interview him for the second time had an expression that said, "I knew it, I thought of it. He would never let us reporters down." The ancients didn't lie. As long as they could interview him, they would definitely be able to catch the explosive point. Every word that this guy said, every phrase was full of juicy news. A walking hot news machine. Brother all-rounder, you are invincible. How shameless do you have to be to say such shameless words that look down on the world? You are clearly declaring that you want to take on the world by yourself in this field. You are issuing a challenge to everyone in the world. Isn't it just learning a foreign language? Do you have to be like this? Then the problem is, how should we publish this news? Should we move it out without changing a single word? Or should we help him polish it a little and adjust his tone to be a little softer and not too arrogant? Everyone present was a veteran in the news media industry. They all understood how terrifying the shock Qin Guang's words would cause once they were out. This guy was too arrogant, too crazy, and simply unreasonable. Damn, I never thought that after being in this industry for so many years, we would actually take the initiative to worry for our interviewee. We felt that his words were too explosive and wanted to change it a little softer. He was so arrogant that even us reporters who were afraid of the world being in chaos were afraid. Many of the veteran reporters felt happy and troubled at the same time. As a reporter, to be able to meet a famous person like the almighty Superman Qin Guang and to be born in the same era as him, it was a pain and a joy. We all knew that this news would be shocking, but it was a little too shocking. We are holding a bomb in our hands and we are a little panicky. What if we cause trouble for him again and make him unhappy? I heard that this guy is very narrow-minded. The last time Zhou Wei defamed him, Almost all the marketing accounts and media outlets that were involved received a letter from his lawyer. I heard that the hundreds of people in this guy's company have nothing better to do, so they keep an eye on these things. So painful, so conflicted, so scared. Qin Guang did not care about these people's worries. He only cared about throwing a bomb, then returned to his room, closed the door, and tried to meditate according to the requirements of the painting manual. The reporters did not hesitate for long. They immediately took the initiative to communicate with Liu Xiaoyang, the head of the Publicity and Public Relations Department of Tianguang Agency. At that time, the scene of the communication was like this. The reporters first sent the recording of Qin Guang's call to Liu Xiaoyang. Manager Liu, are we really sending it like this? Holiest *T. As expected of Boss Chen's character. Hearing that, Buttface eyelids twitched. Wait a minute, let me think it over. Liu Xiaoyang took the recording and went to find the other two reporters. Lao Feng. Lao Yu. Our President Qin is making trouble again. Come and listen to it. Come and listen to it. Feng Tianyu said, holiest *T. No wonder he is our President Chen's idol. Yu Hong said, this is exactly what he would say. Liu Xiaoyang said, what should we do now? President Qin is so arrogant that even the reporters are afraid of him. They don't dare to send it. They asked me if I should polish it and tone it down a bit. Yu Hong and Feng Tianyu looked at each other and rolled their eyes. You are the head of the media. You have the final say. Why are you asking us? Liu Xiaoyang said, what you said makes sense. I am speechless. Poor Buttface, who knew these two guys were shirking their responsibility, but he could do nothing about it. Forget it. Since Xiao Qin said it himself, it's obvious that he really thinks so. Send it. Just send it. Really? Liu Xiaoyang spread out his hands. Of course. Although I don't understand where he got his confidence from, we don't dare to change his words. After that, the hot news articles in their hands were sent out like snowflakes. The almighty Superman's challenge to the world. Qin Guang, no one is a match for me. Brother Almighty, you can just read the bonus. I will take it back later. There's no craziest, only crazier Qin Guang. Is it low-key luxury or arrogant unrestrained? The declaration of the phenomenal genius internet celebrity Qin Guang. I master all languages just like other people's mother tongue. This was a very witty young man's headline that was taken out of context. His headline stood out among all the other news articles. At that time, some people said that he was too arrogant. How dare you change your meaning? Are you not afraid of death? He deleted the word all languages from Qin Guang's master all languages. The difference of one word could make a big difference. This young man was also quite afraid. However, he thought that since Qin Guang was so arrogant and he had nothing to lose, he might as well write something explosive. At this moment, no one realized that this was actually a great prophecy. A storm of public opinion swept across the whole of Wuxia and even the whole world. Chapter 852. Butler Guy, a world-renowned linguist, an honorary professor at Oxford University, and the light of wisdom of Turkey, was the first to stand up after seeing Qin Guang's extremely arrogant speech. Not only did he post on his personal social media, but he also directly posted the news to BBC. I have never heard of such an absurd theory. In the long history of mankind, thousands of different languages have been born. Just to record some of the languages that are about to lose their heritage, the global linguists have used all their strength. I don't know what is going on in his head. Mastering all the languages? This is the most unfunny joke I have ever heard in my life. He is insulting all of us. Butler Gay's friend, another pillar of the global language world, the Korean scholar Park Kang-nam, who had a wise and far-sighted look on his forehead, said, "The shamelessness of the Chinese celebrity has really broadened my horizons. After all, you don't need to pay taxes for bragging. I don't think he will really appear in the competition. Also, as our scholars have always emphasized, Confucius is a Korean." One of the competition judges, a professor and PhD supervisor at Yenjing University, said, "As one of the judges, regardless of whether Qin Guang is a sponsor or not, I swear that I will be fair and impartial. I will not be disturbed by any outside factors, and I will not condone any academic scandals. Also, Mr. Park, there is no doubt that Confucius is a sage of our country." Although Mr. Dok's words weren't that bad, the latter half of his words were still against Park Kang-nam. However, his words hinted that he really didn't think Qin Guang could show any real talent in the World Language Conference. These well-known public figures all over the country and even the world began to attack Qin Guang one after another. Those young busybodies or young men like the Gokyo University's Foreign Language Institute didn't sound so good. His face is thicker than the city wall. Chengdu is the most shameless person in history. His face is bigger than the sky. How can he boast like this? I don't care. Everyone, I have already bought the competition tickets. What do you think of the banner I prepared? Is it domineering enough? His shamelessness is unparalleled in the world. Fishing for fame is the best in history. Horizontal scroll, the most despicable Qin Guang. I used to admire him. After all, he's an aviation hero. But this time I really can't stand it anymore. Goodbye. I didn't want to watch him compete, but this time I'm going to watch it in front of the TV. I want to see how he's going to blow his cover. Similar comments appeared in every corner of the online world. Under Qin Guang's Weibo comments in various Tieba forums, in countless QQ and WeChat groups, and even in the social circle where Fu Jiabao had just appeared, it was very lively. Apart from that, even in the circle of people in real life, he was still the focus of everyone's discussion during their leisure time, or when they were slacking off at work or school. People would argue about it endlessly, and in serious cases, there might even be a fight over it. Some people criticized Qin Guang, but there were also people who supported him. No matter how arrogant he appeared, those who had been paying attention to him knew that he had never failed before. Although he was a little too arrogant this time, who could be sure that he wouldn't do what he said until he was really defeated in the competition? Therefore, on the internet and in real life, his matter not only filled the screen but also the ears and eyes of people. In China, the World Language Conference, which didn't receive much attention, had almost become air pollution. It made some people feel annoyed and their ears got calluses from listening to it. They didn't want to listen anymore and they didn't want to discuss it with anyone, but they couldn't avoid it. When office workers went home, they were caught by their family to chat. When they went to the office, they were caught by their colleagues to chat. When they finally got rid of this group of colleagues, the company's leaders came again. This time they had no choice but to chat. Students were caught by their classmates to chat at school, and when they went home they were caught by their parents to chat. Even when they couldn't stand it and went online, they were still caught by their netizens to chat. Even if they were playing games, the people in the game would start chatting. This group of students who had completely collapsed decided to watch their favorite game streamer's live broadcast, but the streamer was also chatting. They didn't feel good. Qin Guang's goal had been achieved. Regardless of whether others liked it or not, he would appear in front of everyone again and again. Although because of the excessive spamming, his fans didn't increase significantly and he even gained a lot of haters. But it didn't matter. When the day came to prove himself, these people would naturally come to a realization. They would scream at the top of their lungs. Oh my God. He wasn't bragging. What he said was all true. At that time, these haters would give birth to a large number of fans and worshippers. The more unreasonable he acted now, the more he would be able to dominate other people's topics. With a topic there would be attention. The more people who cared about the World's Language Conference, the more people would worship him when he swept across the world. Others laughed at him for being too crazy, but he laughed at them for not being able to see through it. Without informing the new counselor, Qin Guang quietly boarded a direct flight to Beijing that night. The Hero Medal awarded by all the major airlines in the world was that useful. After booking a first-class cabin, he drove to the airport. The leader of the airport personally received him and asked him to park his car in the airport's employee parking lot. He could park there as long as he wanted. In addition, the person in charge of the airport understood that he had been in the limelight recently. Knowing that he wanted to keep a low profile, he even personally acted as a guide and directly led him to the employee passageway. Mr. Qin, although this is a first-class cabin, it's inevitable that other passengers will gossip about you when they arrive. There's an empty seat in the cockpit in front. Do you want to sit there? This person in charge of the airport was really knowledgeable. Qin Guang waved his hand. Thank you for your kindness, but forget it. I'm not a pilot today. I'm just an ordinary passenger. How can I sit in the cockpit? It's against the rules. Actually, what he was thinking was that the crappy chair in the cockpit would be like a human shrinking in it. Who would want to sit in it? Besides, I'm not that afraid of people pointing at me. At most, I'll just convince people with virtue and reason. All right. Actually, the person in charge of the airport had already secretly stuffed his nephew into the captain's seat. He wanted to let this kid take this rare opportunity to learn from Qin Guang. Oh right. Mr. Qin, you're going to Beijing to prepare for the competition, right? As the two of them had boarded the plane early, the ordinary passengers could not get in for a while. The person in charge of the airport had nothing to do, so he pulled Qin Guang into a conversation. Qin Guang nodded. Yes. Those people on the internet are really too much. Mr. Qin, I support you. I believe in you. They don't know what's good for them. Oh no. They don't know what's good for them. They have eyes but can't see. Frankly speaking, the person in charge of the airport and Qin Guang's age gap was a little big. They really did not have anything in common, so his topic was a little stiff. Qin Guang laughed. When I was on the plane, before I really stopped the plane, no one thought that I could really fly a plane. Now it doesn't matter if I get scolded. After all, geniuses are always not understood. He thought to himself that the people in the civil aviation industry really knew what was good for them. They knew that the old man's specialty was to make the impossible possible. The person in charge of the airport was stunned. Actually, he had lectured his son like this last night when he was talking to his family at home. Humility is a traditional Chinese virtue. Don't learn from Qin Guang. His face is too thick. Even people in the civil aviation industry like us can't help him blow it away. Now that the person in charge had a personal chat with the person in charge, he realized that this guy was too arrogant. Speaking of which, there was really no way to refute him. From a practical point of view, the difficulty of him winning the competition was no lower than a rookie pilot facing a hopeless situation and eventually landing successfully. I understand the logic, but bro, you're killing the conversation. I still have something to do at the airport. Mr. Qin, why don't you take a break first? Forget it. He was afraid that if he continued the conversation, he would not be able to help but lecture him like an elder. It would be annoying for no reason, so the person in charge of the airport decided to leave. Qin Guang did not make him stay. While the plane had not taken off, he still had time to fiddle with his phone. He took out his popcorn phone and started playing with it. These bastards, they're really scolding me. It's like I dug up the graves of 8 generations of their ancestors. Really, is it necessary? Although he was already mentally prepared, he still got angry every time he saw these messages. He simply stopped looking at the news and opened WeChat to look at the messages. He simply replied to Jin Shuiwei and Zhang Yache. He did not dare to chat too much. He had to turn off his phone when he got back. Xin Qin also sent him a message, asking him if he wanted to use the authority of the General Administration of Light to make those fleas behave on the internet. Qin Guang righteously rejected Xin Qin's suggestion. The General Administration of Light is an important tool of the country. How can I use the power of the General Administration for my own selfish interests? I will not do such a thing. You really disappoint me. How can you think like that? Give me your large-scale photos and the 800-word self-reflection letter later. Bah. Recently, the General Administration of Light has incorporated a reclusive sect called Pink Sect. The disciples in this sect are all small and cute girls. The internal energy they practice is a bit strange. When they reach the age of 18, they must find a strong man to help them lose their virginity. Otherwise, their bodies will explode and they will die. Don't say any more. For the country and the people, we have to do our best until we die. Leave this trivial matter to me. I made it up. How can there be such a wretched sect? Goodbye. After closing WeChat, Qin Guang went to look at his messages again. Yo, brother Yang Shi, whom he had not contacted for a long time, appeared again. Qin Guang, are you in Wujing now? I was kicked out by Director Deng again. He insisted that I follow you and tell you the script. I will probably start shooting your scenes next week. I don't think it's necessary, but he insisted that I come. I just got off the plane. Qin Guang quietly replied to the message. Sorry, I'm on a plane to Yanjing. It will take off in about 10 minutes. Yang Shi was speechless. Chapter 853. The other side was silent for a few seconds before he replied. Then I'll buy a plane ticket to Beijing. Qin Guang was happy. Poor brother Yang Shi. Big Beard Deng was torturing him to the point of breaking down. But soon he couldn't be happy because he received another message from Wu Tong. Dear brother, are you in school? I'm back. I'm back as the bureau chief. I just got off the plane. Come and receive me. Coincidentally, Wu Tong was also transferred back to Wujing today. She was probably on the same flight as Yang Shi. He even said that he should find Sister Wu Tong to improve their relationship and talk about life. He also wanted to see if he could use his authority to help her solve some unsolved cases. In the end, Xianxia missed out on him and he missed out on Wu Tong. This was retribution. When he sent the same message to Wu Tong, his mood was much heavier. "Sai, I'm flying to Beijing today. I'm on the plane now. Why don't I come and find you when I get off the plane? It's the same if I go to Beijing tomorrow." At this moment, Qin Guang had completely forgotten about Xianxia, who was intending to fly to Beijing. "It's fine. I'll wait for you in Beijing. You're going to the World Language Conference, right? Recently my colleagues in the bureau have been talking about you. You might have caused a lot of trouble. I'm embarrassed to tell others that I know you." I don't dare to. It's not a great achievement. It's just knowing a little more foreign language. I know you know Tabramulu, a native language. It's not strange to know other languages. But do you really know all kinds of languages like the news said? What? When did I say I know all languages? Qin Guang thought to himself. Although this is the truth, I did not boast about it. Who was it leaked the news? Am I sleep talking? It's written in the news. I'm looking at the headlines. The headline of the news is written in your original words. I know all languages just like other people's mother tongue. Didn't you say that? Were you taken out of context? Qin Guang was shocked. I thought I was arrogant enough. Who would have thought there would be someone better than me? The guy who wrote this news is a genius. Awesome, he could even compete with Buttface. Then were you slandered? Seeing that Qin Guang did not respond, Wu Tong sent another message. After a brief pondering, Qin Guang replied, I wasn't defamed. The person who wrote that article knows too much and what he said is the truth. Wu Tong, you're too shameless. Being pretentious is a sin, then you are unforgivable. After chatting with Wu Tong, the other passengers boarded the plane one after another. Switching off his phone, Qin Guang closed his eyes and played dead. Someone recognized him, but seeing that he was sleeping in his seat, looking as though he didn't want anyone to approach him, no one came up to talk to him. He was not sleeping but trying to sense qi in his body to improve his inner force. It was disheartening. He took the initiative to adjust his qi and sense qi, but the effect of cultivating inner force was not as good as naturally increasing inner force when he was concentrating on something else. Although he was a genius, it seemed that he still had to follow Wenwen's words. Cultivating inner force was, after all, a painstaking process. Even if the stone used for the painstaking process was of a higher quality, naturally smoother and could even spin on its own from time to time, it still required time. According to Xianxia and Wu Miaoan, he probably had the combat power to threaten Wu Miaoan, who was at the peak of bone strength, but his inner force was still at the beginner level of muscle strength. His physical strength was far superior to inner force. It was like a powerful motor that could only power a 36V car. The inside and the outside did not match, and the outside was far stronger than the inside. Wu Miaoan's words were pleasant to hear. A person like him had the ability to challenge someone of a higher level that would make others envious. But then again, why would I be stupid enough to challenge someone of a higher level? If I wanted to deal with a bone strength expert, it would obviously be easier for me to deal with him after I transformed into bone strength. Wouldn't it be even better if I could bully someone with bone strength with skin strength? Wouldn't it be more satisfying, just like Wenwen, who could use her Wenzong realm cultivation to kill everyone? Why would I have to transform into an unkillable cockroach like Xianxia to challenge someone of a higher level? Everyone would prefer to be crushed, alright? Forget it, I'll let Xianxia try to see if she can get some Tianshan snow lotus, 10,000-year-old Chinese knotweed, 100,000-year-old Chongbai ginseng through the channels of the Guangding headquarters. Otherwise, it'll be something like a snake king's gallbladder that has become a spirit. It was written in martial arts novels that if one ate more of these tonics, they could gain decades of inner force, or even hundreds of years of inner force in minutes. A certain chrysanthemum head who had just lectured Xianxia with righteous words, had become so lax in his thinking. Using power for personal gain was just that easy. In the end, Xianxia did not manage to buy the same flight to Yanjing as Qin Guang, so he could only wait for the next morning. When Qin Guang arrived in Yanjing, it was about 12 o'clock in the morning. As soon as he got off the plane, he took a taxi and went to the hotel where several middle-level executives of Tianguang Agency were staying. He did not greet these people. It was called a surprise inspection, but in fact he forgot that he still had 3 subordinates that he could use. His luck was pretty good. Because he left in a hurry, Not many media reporters received the news that he would appear in Beijing. Otherwise, it was hard to guarantee that the reporters here wouldn't rush to the airport to give him a surprise. When he arrived at the hotel, it was about 1 o'clock in the evening. He thought that these 3 people might have already gone to bed, so he did not look for them. Without thinking much, he randomly asked for a room to stay in. He forgot to bring his computer, so he could only play with his phone. He opened Weibo and found that the news that he appeared in Yanjing was leaked by someone who was on the same flight as him. It's true. Qin Guang mysteriously landed in Yanjing, and it's suspected that he plans to start the world's language conference in advance. I'll do it your ass. I don't need to do anything. I'll just go up and act cool. What will come sooner or later. What is Qin Guang trying to do? You guys will never know what I want in this lifetime. Just obediently give me your faith points. Central TV has entered the water. It's rumored that Central TV Entertainment Channel has bought the live broadcast rights of the world's language conference. Qin Guang nodded secretly. The last time he cooperated with Central TV on the Guinness World's Language Conference, there was nothing wrong with continuing the cooperation this time. Although the ratings of Central TV Entertainment Channel under normal circumstances were not as good as Mango TV, Tomato TV, and other provincial TV channels that operated well in the market, it was still a TV program that radiated to the whole country. With him personally leading the charge, the overwhelming and shameless hype, the World's Language Conference would not lack attention. At that time, Central TV Entertainment Channel's ratings would definitely make a comeback. He was the attention. What was important was the coverage. The ratings of the TV station itself was not important. ESPN, Sky Sports, ABC, WBC, HBO and other TV stations have mysteriously appeared. Who will get the rights to the overseas live broadcast of the World's Language Conference? Faster see. I can tolerate ESPN, but what the hell is HBO? Isn't that a TV station that shoots large-scale American dramas? Forget it, don't care about these details. At least this shows that I'm getting more and more popular. A huge prize pool of 100 million was thrown out, and sure enough there were still some bubbles. In the past, these foreign TV stations were not so friendly to me. YouTube and Twitch executives have parachuted into Beijing, suspected to be here for the overseas live broadcast rights of the World's Language Conference. What kind of charm does an almighty superhuman have? Qin Guang remembered the female YouTube host that he had a good time working with at the international arm wrestling competition. He thought that if the offer was close, then he would continue to YouTube. That girl's figure was quite hot. Forget it, as the big boss of the company he should not be thinking about these trivial matters. Then what should I think about? If it was a normal person, they would probably be busy preparing for such a big stage to participate in a world-class competition, right? But I don't need it. Training? It doesn't seem like I have a lot of fighting spirit. I'm actually bored again. Qin Guang's mind was filled with random thoughts. He was still very energetic and couldn't fall asleep, but he couldn't find anything in particular that he wanted to do. In a daze, he suddenly remembered something that Liuli had done before. At that time, she used some unknown means to freeze her personal assets of 170 million, saying that she used it to buy a company. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 months had passed, but the money hadn't come back and the company hadn't been seen either. She wouldn't have given me the money to invest in stocks, right? Or perhaps she had been fooled by a scam fund on the internet and had the money absconded with it. Or perhaps she had been donated to the Chongjiang Business School's Alumni Association and had them use it to build an internet car. It couldn't be, right? After all, Liuli was a dignified divine emperor. She couldn't be so stupid, right? After all, she had learned how to do business for such a long time. It was impossible that she couldn't even see through such a simple scam, right? Wait a minute. Qin Guang suddenly remembered that when Liuli said that she had learned how to do business, she seemed to be watching TV series such as Hotel Storm, Founding Era, Golden Age, and so on. It seemed that it was not impossible for Liuli to be cheated of her underwear. Then the problem was that the underwear that was cheated away was not hers, but mine. My underwear is worth 170 million yuan. He began to panic. He clapped his hands hard, picked up the cup and went into Realm Cloud City in the cup, but he didn't see Liuli. Looking for Sister Liuli? Lu Minghua asked immediately. Qin Guang, yes. It's very important. Lu Minghua said gloomily. Before Sister Liuli went into seclusion, she asked me to bring you a message. Qin Guang, Please say it. I'm all ears. Lu Minghua coughed, and then the huge fruit suddenly bent down and waved in front of Chen Guang. A shrill, lowly voice came from her fruit and she roared in a roaring tone, I'm not feeling well today. No matter how big your business is, it's not a big deal. Even if aliens invade, you should find a tree hole to hide in and we'll talk about it another day. Thankfully, there was no saliva on the fruit. Chen Guang's face was covered by her inexplicable roar. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you going to deafen me? Lu Minghua snorted. No, that was the tone that Sister Liuli used when she asked me to bring the message. She also emphasized to me that if you wanted to find her, you should repeat the original words in her tone. I was also asked to do that. Chen Guang was greatly shocked. Did Liuli abandon me? Lu Minghua spat at him. I advised her to simply kill you and find a savior. Even if she had to wait for another trillion years, it wouldn't be a problem. But she was soft-hearted and she didn't listen. I always feel that you are lying to me. Yes, I am lying to you. But your Majesty God Emperor really can't be distracted anymore. You just wait patiently and I will give you a surprise when the time comes. Chen Guang always felt that Liuli was probably pretending to be offline on purpose. She was afraid that if he asked her about the money she would feel guilty. Alas, I'm so angry but I can't do anything about it. He awkwardly left the cup world, and his mind began to ponder about Liuli's big plan. After thinking about it he still didn't know what it was. Forget it, sleep. Let me set the alarm clock first. I'll get up at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning and call Lu Xiaoyang and the others over to ask about their progress. I should occasionally pretend to be a copy of the cabinet. Whoosh. What? It's already noon. Forget it, pretend that I didn't say anything. Why didn't I hear the alarm clock at all? No, when the alarm clock rang in the morning I seemed to have opened my eyes. At that time I should have set the alarm clock and slept for 5 minutes before waking up. But why is it already midnight when I open my eyes? I must have encountered a time thief and my time was stolen. So scary. After ordering breakfast he ate slowly in his room. He couldn't help but complain about himself. Alas, I came early. I didn't expect that I would also feel bored. Find some books to read? Go away, I just finished my makeup exams. As the sharpening king, how can I read books at the beginning of school? This is simply not in line with my style as a crazed study god. Play games? I should have asked for the supreme suite. The computer in this shabby room might not even be as good as my popcorn phone. When I play games it will be like a slideshow. Moreover, how can I play games without live streaming to cheat money? Buy a new high-performance gaming laptop at Jingxi Shopping Center? I already have one at home. I'm only using it for a few days. Won't it be too extravagant to buy another one? Don't tell me that I have too much money to spend. This is how the old man is thrifty. Money should be spent where it's needed. Forget it, I'll ask the Guangdong branch office in Beijing if they have a budget. As a director, it shouldn't be too much to use public funds to buy an alien with a GTX 1080 graphics card, right? At this time his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Bai Hua. Chen Guang subconsciously didn't want to pick up, but he heard from Lu Xiaoyang that Bai Hua helped a lot in sponsoring the World Language Conference. If I hang up now, wouldn't it seem like I'm burning bridges after crossing the river? Then I'll pick up. If he asks about Qin Yu, I'll immediately pretend that the signal is bad and hang up. Bai Hua. Qin Guang, I saw on the news that you're already in Beijing? Qin Guang. Yes, brother Bai Hua, why are you looking for me? Thank you for your help a few days ago. No problem, don't mention it. Oh, by the way, Qin Yu. Oh, hello. Brother Bai Hua, where are you now? Your signal is bad. Can you hear me? Oh, brother Bai Hua. I can't hear you. It's intermittent. But the phone was hung up. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.